So rude.
So think yourself.
Hello, good evening.
I have to
all.
use hotkeys like every other mother.
My stream deck just decided it's not going to work, so I'm trying to change scene, and it's just not doing it.
I think we should do like
how everyone else does it.
Fucking
like
no,
but we should stream.
Gotta open OBS. Gotta press buttons. I've got to find where the scenes are. What's all this crap all about?
It's a hard knock life.
Can't leave, madness. What the hell? We've literally just gone live.
Literally just started. So anyway, this is like a typical starting for us. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Asylum podcast, episode number 20. We thought we was going to have hardly anyone on today, but instead we got a full house, so that should be good fun. So yeah, joining us today we have someone all the way over in Prague, Mr. Moist Noodle.
Just pointing out I shouldn't be in Prague anymore.
Shouldn't be in Prague, and he's probably should be on the flight right now, but he's decided to join us instead. And
should have been on the flight yesterday.
We're also joined with Mr. HCVertigo.
Yep.
And SuperMacBrothersRyan.
Yo.
And on top of that, we have the slacker that I didn't think was going to turn up today, who took paternity leave without permission.
Apparently kids are alright to, you know.
Yeah, it's just, I have a kid,
break.
so I'm going to take a day off. Like, how the fuck does that work?
Yeah,
Wife's doing better. How it works.
Currently, the kid is working my other computer at the moment. Like just,
the stream deck.
He's modding the stream.
Come on. It's the control. Like I believe in more of the old ages. You know, like kids, like they need to pay their rent. So he's currently now crawling all over the keyboard, pressing the right buttons to make sure the stream goes live. But I'm just impressed that Moist. I'm like, Moist is actually like, he sacrificed his flight to be with us. That's just incredible. That's commitment. That is commitment.
That is commitment.
Wow.
Sacrifices made.
So yeah, good evening everybody, and welcome. Thanks for joining us all. So we might as well start off as we always do. I can then check audio levels because things are all over the place. Because good old Windows 10 update, yes. We do love those. They decided to reset everything. So yeah, everybody would like to tell us what they've been up to. So we'll start with Moist since we've already got a little bit of a background as to where he's not meant to be. So you can tell us how you've been and what you've been up to.
Well, as you can see, I'm currently at Prague Airport, sat in a food court. And I shouldn't be on a plane. I should have been on a plane yesterday, but I forgot about my flight. So had decided to have an extra day in Prague. It's been lovely.
Decided.
Been hanging out with a load of space engineers. Hanging out at Keen Software House, which has been absolutely amazing. Now is not a good time to clean the floors. Oh my god.
Get the guy with the wax.
Ignore the buffer.
Just do this.
When they spin on the buffers.
You should get him to come over and you should stand on it.
I should introduce him. That's Sergey. That's Sergey. He's a really cool guy. But
you
yeah,
haven't got Dave with you there as well, have you?
No. He's flying the plane at the moment. It's in Glasgow, apparently.
The plane.
But yeah, had an amazing time. Zockley, who's also a Star Citizen streamer, has been showing me around, introduced me to his cat Django, who is completely adorable. And yeah, went on a little party spree yesterday. I think it was yesterday. We went to a burger and beer festival, which was like the best thing I've ever been to in my life. Consumed many beers, had like 4 burgers. And I had another burger today, so I'm kind of burgered out. I can only consume so much meat, and I know that's a surprise. So there we go. But Ryan, I really think that maybe next year you should come to the burger and beer festival. I think that would be a laugh.
To get burgered.
Yeah.
To get meat.
To get meat burgered. Are you gonna burger me?
But yeah, that's pretty much me. Hopefully I'll...
I'm not touching any of this.
Yeah, I'm not going near that. Are you going to burger me? Yeah.
Nope, not touching it. Too far.
But yeah, I've got another 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 5 more hours, and then I should be on my plane. So there we go. But the interesting thing will be whether or not I can get my boosted board onto the plane, because they refuse to put it into oversized luggage.
Do you know what you should
So
do?
I've been told
Suggest they use it to put on the plane. So they actually put the plane on the boosted board, and it might actually go a bit faster next time and get to the location on time.
Exactly. So I'm carrying my boosted board to the gate in the hope that they'll take it off me at the gate to put in the hold. If not, I'm spending another night in Prague.
Do you know what? Do you know what might happen? Is you'll be sat in your chair, and then the captain's going to boost past you down the aisle on the board, like whee!
And then the captain's going to break his arm, and then it's suddenly going to be another night in Prague. You gotta wait for this.
Oh man,
captain.
My CEO will be so pissed at me if I'm not in work at 8:30 a.m. and I get in. I'll realistically get home about 6 a.m. So tomorrow.
What can you do, right? What can you do?
Jesus Christ.
Not miss your flight next time? I mean, other than that, I mean, you can not miss your
It wasn't my fault. It
Don't tell
wasn't
them
my
they
fault.
Oh yeah, just say it wasn't your fault. You're fine.
Yeah, it's not my fault. Well, yeah.
So the pilot was having a nap.
Pictures on Facebook. Drunk. Yeah.
Having a terrible time.
Yeah, it's not my fault.
Drunk right now.
The boss is looking at Facebook account right now.
Zockley actually had me dancing in a nightclub, which nobody should ever see, ever. It was just cringe, complete cringe. At one point, I had this big sweaty topless man up against my face. So I was just like, ah. Not that I'm complaining, but there we go. Everybody loves a little bit of salt, isn't that right, madness?
That's right. Yeah.
That sounds so lovely.
No need for salt just yet. Everything's sweet in my life right now.
Okay.
Aww.
Yes.
Too many innuendos. I just can't touch them. We're all men. It don't work. It's just men on the podcast.
So
Just grab a girl from behind you, Moist,
that's Noodle's lovely weekend. Vertigo, what have you been up to?
Star Citizen streaming. We're doing Metro 2030 as a variety, kind of keep my sanity. Just got done with a nap. It's
just like slightly off to the
it's
one
gonna be
side.
Looking good.
That's pretty much how I do my hair pre, post, or before a nap. It's just, that'll do.
Yeah,
that'll do.
Bit of drool.
Yeah.
Just take it straight up.
What you don't probably don't
It's
realize.
like when you lick a stamp,
my hair
but
is
just straight up.
immaculate beforehand. Is it like perfectly combed, and then all I do is I stick it in a bush just before I come on the stream.
Wait, I'm back in the room.
I
What?
spend ages doing it properly, and then I go. There we go. Got that look. Got that completely. Got that.
So you've got a bush. You've got a bush down that you just stick your head in.
There
You just
Yeah.
stick my head in a bush.
Let's no go there.
It's called the missus.
Oh God.
I wasn't going there.
Oh my God. Trust me, after what I've seen over the last 24 hours, I ain't put my head nowhere near no bushes like that. I'm telling you.
Wow.
Honestly, childbirth, like I said before, like someone said to me, actually, which I'm going to use forever now, it is like watching your favorite restaurant burn down. Like this. It's just watching it twice in a row.
Twitch terms and conditions.
You only have one more restaurant left, and that's burnt down now.
And I'm no joke. It was like the last time I made the mistake of getting near the busy end, like when accidentally looking, and then this time I made sure I was just like, I ain't going nowhere. Like
I've seen this before. I'll stay at this end.
that's just stay there, and then I'll just stay here, and it's cool.
Well, you've got FaceTime now, so you can literally be in a pub.
Yeah, why did you even need to be there?
This is true. I should have got.
You've got
I
to
should have
support.
Stream
should have
it.
got an AI robot to be there.
Stream it. Yeah, stream it.
I was waiting for the IRL stream, to be honest.
Education.
With his gyroscoped little camera off his bike, like, oh look, it worked.
Why, in case you get a
Shaking.
bit rocky.
Shaking around, just adding the atmosphere. Hang on a minute, guys. I've got to get the.
It's alright, Des. We haven't passed the boundaries of Twitch. This is educational. It comes under educational, so it's fine.
It would
I
have
reckon
been.
it would pass.
It would have been an IRL stream of my hand slowly being crushed over the hour.
Why did you do this to me? Why? Can't let you do it again.
Profanity. No, yeah. My missus is really. I'm gonna props, man. Like she didn't swear once. There was no swear once. It was like I couldn't believe it. Like no profanity whatsoever. She even apologized. So Canadian of her. I was like, "Well, you apologizing to these people for? I'm so sorry that I'm giving birth right now." It's funny. It's funny what people do when they're in that sub situation. So no, it's massive props to my wife for giving birth because I certainly couldn't do it.
Because I could.
I imagine it's just like having a real tough shit in it. To be fair.
Do you know what? Do you know what? Like
Just
you'll find
like-
out, but it's when you see. But it's that's what they say. They say just imagine the worst constipation you've ever had, and push.
And stick a baby in there instead.
There you go.
Tell you what, if that came out after a bit of constipation, I'd be fucking shit scared.
I will name you John.
John.
There is no way back from this.
Would you flush it though, or would you just sort of
Would
take
you
it
flush
out
it?
and
There you go.
wrap it in a blanket?
Wrap it in some toilet paper.
Yeah. Or would you just be like, I'm not admitting to this.
I just.
Oh my
Wow.
God, welcome! I swear to God,
Well,
every week we just take it to another level.
It was nice
try to
having a
top
Twitch
ourselves.
account for a little while. So from now on, you'll probably be seeing me streaming from the Asylum channel because this one will no longer exist.
If we get these sort of jokes in before the numbers skyrocket, then
Yeah,
it's loyal fans, and they ain't gonna
Yeah.
report you.
Exactly. Exactly. They're the ones that have come on time, get to enjoy it.
Yeah, just don't do it later on.
Live in the action. Live in the action. Right. Oh God. So yeah. Oh, babies. Lots of babies at the moment for me. And playing
of
Star
babies.
Citizen, streaming as much as I can. We played Conan. Now I played Conan
Yeah.
before when it was first on pre-alpha or whatever, pre-launch or whatever it was, or early access, like everything these days. And I really didn't like it. I returned it and got my money back. But Mrs. channel, they've all been playing it, and so I thought I'll give it a go again because I heard there's a lot of updates, a lot of
Were you,
content
were you a
changes.
bit prematurely salty about it? Would you say?
I would say so, but I didn't like the way it felt. Like the game, I died like within seconds, and I just wasn't in the space for it. I think
beat
because I
him, in
played.
other words.
Yeah,
The game beat me,
It's too
so I
hard.
didn't like it.
It was too hard. No,
It was too hard.
It was too hard. I didn't like it. I think it's because I've been playing Miscreated a lot before, and I kind of was burned out. I think on the whole survival kind of game and mechanics
There
and
are a
stuff.
lot of survival games out there.
There
It's
is.
just, and I
Is
haven't
that
played one for a while.
created good though? Is that any good?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it's a bit like DayZ kind of thing, but like anything, it's just you just burn out of these type of games after a while. And
Well, yeah, someone was asking me about that on my channel, and they're like, I can't remember what game it was. It was something, and I go look at it on Steam, and it had like crafting, survival, Unity, and early access.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, 3 of those.
Oh, yeah.
Any 3, pick any 3 of those, drops. Absolutely, just nope, not happening.
I
I'm
can't. I
sick
can
of
only
it.
play so many of those type of games, and they're all pretty much the same. So, whereas Conan, like I got into it, and I think with the new bits that they've added to it, I think they've improved the depth and the map's bigger, and they fixed a few things to it. And also, I think the big part is there's a lot of people still playing it. Like I was reading the numbers on it now. When it first was dropped, Conan's viewership on Twitch and stuff was like really high. And then it had a big period of time where it slowly declined, but now it's gone live, which is really interesting. It's come right back to where it was again in terms of viewership and stuff on Twitch. It's really boomed again, which is interesting, I think, for this game, for Star Citizen, because we wonder, what will the game be like when they eventually do go to live and to beta and stuff like? Will we get, the boom? And it does seem that will be the case.
I mean, to be fair, what's happened is. With Conan, I don't know why we've completely gone off on this, but anyway, what's happened with Conan is exactly what it should have done, because it was early access, so people took an interest in it, but it was early access, and this is what we're trying to say to people about Star Citizen. It's early testing, it's early days, and then people played it, got a little bored, it was a little bit limited of what was available, and then it kind of disappeared. Obviously, it was still available to play, but then it got fully released finally. And in that fully release, it had a massive patch. They added loads more zones. They fixed a ton of bugs where, thralls falling through the floor, all that lot. So it became a lot more playable. Like, again, how long that will last for people to still enjoy it, but that's going to be down to people's ability to actually stay with the game for more than 5 minutes, more than the game. I think the game itself now is running pretty good. I haven't seen all the content. There's a fair amount in there now, but that's kind of how it should be. These early accesses there's been a few now that I have actually started to release, And it's nice to actually see some games releasing rather than... Because for a long time we've been stuck in this like early access rut where everything's going early access and nothing's being released. And then there's like a flip a coin whether one's actually going to get finished or not. So it is nice to actually see a few coming out now.
Yeah, that's why I avoid early access. Like people are like, hey, Vertigo, you should do this early access game. Like Star Citizen's it. Like, yeah. That's all I have the patience for right now.
I think
I'd rather just play a release game.
It does teach, like this game, like early access. It just I'm exactly the same. I'm like, I will do early access if I think it's like something I'm like interested in, but it's not even remotely close to anything else that I've done that's early access because I want that experience. But other than that, it'll have to be something like a Star Wars game or something that's similar that I would draw me in, like Conan. I got drawn in because it's Conan and the music is awesome. And
right, it has to have some sort of hook that you haven't seen before. It's something you haven't played before. It has to have something interesting about it.
This is the problem that I have because I've played Rust, I've played Ark, and I just feel like I don't really want to play another survival game now because realistically, I don't know if it is.
You have to learn the mechanics. You have to commit your time to it. You gotta build up your little base. You gotta build up your character, and it's just, and then you're gonna get fucked. People are gonna come in, destroy your stuff, kill you. And you got to deal with that gameplay loop, and if you've already done it in other games, like
the massive time consumers, aren't they? And like everyone has the ones that they go to, and you just hope that everyone picks the same one that you know. Otherwise, you're playing it alone.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll get more of the survivally kind of building, kind of that type of gameplay will start to come into Star Citizen the way that it's becoming slower and slower?
I honestly don't think we will. I think
we'll have hygiene and maybe food consumption, but.
Hygiene, food.
Yeah, there'll be food, water, oxygen, and then a slight bit of hygiene. But I don't think it's going to be to the excess of a lot of other games where you've got to go and hunt something and then build a campfire and then try and.
Yeah,
it's just going to be MRE style thing.
It's a bit like that, isn't it? But I don't think we'll go to that extent. Putting your own bases down. By the looks of it, it's going to be pre-designed plans being delivered by the Pioneer and things like that, so I just don't think we're going to get to that. Because I think with those sort of games, the maps are a lot smaller. I don't think there's a survival game where the servers are like over 100 or something like that. So because of all the assets that you're putting down, you've got all these different clans and groups making their buildings, it's taking up a lot of resources for a server. I just don't think that would... that's why I don't think they've gone down that road with Star Citizen, to be honest.
Because it would be pretty nuts to think if like... because I know there'll be some org out there that'll be a building org, and they'll like take a moon or something and just like literally spend 5 years just building a base on a moon.
It's just the whole moon, like the size of like London or something. It's just like they spent 5 years just designing London.
Yeah. Like, we've recreated London on
exactly. You'd be like, why?
Well, it's funny enough, talking about that. That's what Cage was talking about this the other day on my painting stream. Like Cage Geek took a break from streaming, and one of the things he did was work with these kids in the area, and they rebuilt Scarborough in Minecraft, basically. So
that's not unusual. Like Minecraft, I've seen that a dozen times. Like people do that. They sit down, they try to build the thing. And
I think that's what happens. People trying to get the biggest and best and keep building and building upon stuff. So I mean, if it was in Star Citizen, that would definitely be. Something that could keep people busy for a long time.
Yeah.
I think when I was about 7, I drew my street, and it was poor. I remember the bike looked like it was... They had no sense of depth in those days, so everything was on top of it.
How is that even comparable? When I was 7, I drew my street.
How did you get to... At least did your mother at least put it up on the refrigerator? Oh, that's nice.
Hey. I'm just saying, I was like that with Minecraft. If Minecraft was in my day, that's what I would have done. But I did it with pen and paper.
I drew a cat with crayons. It's blue.
I mean, holy shit! Do we need like?
Can we compare our kid drawing?
Let me just
draw your street in house number and an email.
Oh my god, it's like
testing stream.
Oh, see, I can't say the person I was going to say.
It's like win, lose, or draw.
For paedophilia.
There's a cat.
That's a cat. Oh, look at you. Check you.
Draw a cat. Look at that.
Okay. Oh.
It's like a fat
Okay.
I'm glad you. I'm glad you came on today. That's really good.
Not that I'm judging your ability to sketch.
Welcome.
Obviously.
Welcome.
I'm at least meeting.
So
quality.
We haven't had Mac on the show for a while. What have you been up to, Mac?
We still have introductions.
We still have introductions.
Shit, shall I just keep mine really short?
Yeah, I would.
Scotland.
Scotland got lost. Just come back.
I was at hospital with Madness, giving birth to his
Taking a really big shit to
little
your
boy.
son.
Oh, it turns out Madness, it's the boy. Sorry, but now I've went camping. I'm back streaming now. I've been playing a lot of Escape from Tarkov, which I'm actually really getting into again. I just remember when it's like the best FPS, but the most annoying. Like even today, I just had a quick go at a scav, and I got killed, and I could just feel myself burning inside. It's either that or chlamydia, I can't remember, but it didn't feel good. So I was like, right, I'm not happy about this. But when it goes good, I really enjoy it, and I just remember Madness on our squad shooting every dead body, thinking that was how you looted them. And every time we shot, we were like, "The fuck are you doing?
Be quiet."
Yeah. These guys were like terrified that somebody was going to get us around the corner at every moment. And I was just like, nobody was like, kick the door in, shot this body, shot this body. I was like,
Because they do.
Like,
My kill death
jumping
ratio is amazing. Look at all these people I'm shooting. All these people
I'm just gonna say
down.
now, I actually have Tarkov and I need friends to play with. And since you guys are almost my friends, then maybe this is
almost.
a good
I just like-
situation.
Yeah,
But
just to warn you,
just
the
wanna
last
say
time
it.
we played with Mac, people did die in our
There's
team,
no need to
and there
mention
was
this.
no one that
And
was
Mac ran
shooting
away.
us. Only us lot.
What I would
Oh,
say
yeah,
is,
slide.
though, about the whole situation with Ryan going camping, I'm so glad that he decided to bring his green tent home with him and is now using it as a green screen. That's fantastic. Great
I
way
can go and sit
to
inside it
hide
if you like.
excellent decoration.
Just-
Open
then
events.
everything would be invisible then if you sat inside.
There would just be this big invisible splodge that I would be sat inside. That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Now, okay, going off what Madness is shooting all the corpses. When I play Tarkov, I actually just fire my gun randomly because I'm so stressed out. Like I just start clenching my mouse tighter and tighter as I wander around, and suddenly I'll be walking behind you. Suddenly, you just hear a shot ring out. You're like, "Who's shooting?
Yeah,
Who's shooting?" I'm
I
sorry.
I do the same thing.
I
is,
have
I'm
done that.
nervous.
I've done that in other games. You kind of, because you're hovering over the button, and you just every now and again you just not really
get
thinking. You
nervous.
push the button. It's like, oh shit! I've killed a few people on my team,
But it
not
happens
a
like
few.
2,000 more % for me in Tarkov because it's just like every bush there could be a person.
And you have
Like,
to
if they gave me a
remain.
flamethrower in that game, I'd burn down the entire forest. Like, I
It's the
swear
only way
to
to know
God,
for sure.
it's like Vietnam all over again for us Americans. It's like, look for Charlie in the trees.
But you have
Napalm
to, like,
everyone.
your whole
Wow.
like mouse control of not firing, like in any FPS game, you're just firing because it's like, well, I'll just replenish my ammo. In Tarkov, you have to be really strict, and so I get this sort of antsy feeling like I just want to shoot, just for the sake of feeling like I'm actually playing an FPS game. Otherwise, it doesn't feel like it. So
Yeah,
occasionally, I will
agree
just sort of.
with you. I mean, if
blow
I
it
hadn't
out.
shot anything in that game that we played, I would literally have just spent the entire game running around, knocking on a few
simulator.
doors, and
Yeah.
then going out again because that's literally all we did.
Being scared.
We didn't engage with anyone.
Just your anxiety goes up and your fun goes down, and that's how I kind of curve it. Like I'm super anxious at the end of a play session. I haven't killed anybody, and it's just like, well, oh god, I'd rather just go play some Battlefield. That way I can just kill. I can kill like 20 people in a half hour.
Yeah, that's like me with the battle royale system. I'm completely done with. I don't want to play any more of it. I just want to go back to the olds. Jump into a game, shoot loads of people, respawn, jump in again, shoot people, die, do it again. So
Counter-Strike, Battlefield, Call of Duty, Team Deathmatch.
So you're
Just
not
do it.
looking forward to
Iron Sight,
Star Marine one.
Star Marine.
Yeah, that
I
could
hope
be
so.
good.
I hope so. I know.
No,
Sorry, Matt, you go,
Star
sorry.
Marine Battle Royale. I mean,
I'm hoping it'll have
Star
like,
Marine Battle Royale.
come out.
Are they
next
gonna do
patch.
it?
address. That's what we want, is capture the address.
Or
hide and seek.
what was the Call of Duty one? Changing the subject. Activision remade Battlefield and Call of Duty. They're gonna they had the announcement. They're like, we're gonna make a new Call of Duty. It's gonna be on a bigger map and it's gonna have vehicles.
Yeah.
And like, you've made Battlefield. That's what you've done.
Yep.
The map is bigger and you have vehicles. It's Battlefield. You've made Battlefield.
And they're doing what Madness just said he didn't like.
Yeah.
Battle Royale, yeah.
Battle Royale.
I think they're doing a battle royale. So after all this time of you loving COD, it's gonna ruin it for you.
It's going to be a Battlefield Royale game.
It is.
You can't.
Yeah.
The problem is, and
buy
this kind of gets like this with films, though, isn't it? It's like with all these like comic book films. Like it got successful with the launch of 1 or 2, and all of a sudden they're like, well, this is good. This is making money, right? Let's make comic book films, and then there's just hundreds of comic book films.
But, yeah,
and then like, you see
People
the
are chasing the
success
curve.
of Fortnite. Like first of all, it started PUBG, which did really well. I know there was ones before that, but PUBG like really rocketed in and everything. And then, like, Fortnite come in with the free model, and everyone's going, oh, you're just copying PUBG, blah, blah. And then Fortnite's just fucking rocketed even higher than bloody PUBG.
What was
And
that?
so,
Radical
like,
Heights.
Yeah, so you can't... This is why. And then all these game developers going, well, shit, I don't have to do anything. I just make a map. Like, we've gone from games being as complicated as Star Citizen, which is, like, planets and universes and everything else, to a map, where we just chuck people in and say kill each other, and it's making millions of fucking pounds.
So essentially, they make a map, they sprinkle weapons and people all over it, and they say go at it.
That's why
Genius.
Star Citizen went to Kickstarter, because everyone else was saying, no, we want FPS games, we want console games, we want this.
Multiplayer only, console.
Yeah, they
FPS.
don't want space PC games, space sci-fi. And now, after the insurge of Star Citizen, we got massive insurge of space games, movies, everything. But now, like, the latest fad is the PUBG Battle Royale mode, and that's what everything's got. And that's like, COD's like, oh, maybe we should then.
And
like,
they're behind the
fuck
curve.
off.
Like, they're already behind the curve. By the time you get into it, like,
it's like,
I don't know. It's like crafting survival games.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Zombie games.
Focus on Star Citizen. What makes Star Citizen a really great game? Okay, the reality is the space combat. That's what makes Star Citizen unique.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Dogfighting, amazing space game. So that's the focus point for me: is make the IFCS fucking awesome and the ESP work, and you're good. But that's genuinely it. Like, I firmly believe they should be investing in that. They should be investing in the space racing, kind of like, and the land racing and the Daymar type of thing. There's some really unique gameplay that they can create for this game. Like you say, the capture the Idris. Do you know what I mean? That's cool. And they could create some really fun.
That's what they're doing.
Well, it's like, do you remember Battle? Not the crappy one that EA got hold of, but the one before, with the Star Wars game, where you had the 2 ships and you could fly over to the other people's ship.
Yeah.
Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original Battlefront.
I think it was Battlefront 2. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was
just first one. Yeah.
And they love doing that. They love renaming the old game as the new game.
Yeah, the new game was like, the old games were the original ones were brilliant, and it was really great fun, and everyone loved them. But I remember that as a game mode was dope, because you had the vehicles, and I was like, you could see it easily happen where you could have capture the Idris, and people could be defending the Idris with the combat pilots outside, and you can have people attacking with the combat people thing, and then you have to like drop you guys off on the Idris as well. So the team,
there's just this little Argo being supported by super. Just flying in.
Yeah, all coming in, and then you could have the defense, and then you swap teams, and then you could have all the guys there coming to like wave of attack, but you keep it going so that eventually the team just can't defend, and they land, and it's like, see how they could do so much fucking cool shit.
Problem is, this is all
gameplay that they have.
That's all
Or
like
they could focus
Arena
on the
Commander
game.
stuff.
It's all hype. Yeah.
It's Arena Commander stuff. Yeah.
The thing is,
something
all
that's-
that will come, but in the final game, if they focused on all these Arena Commander little game modes, the game would take a backseat anyway.
Having said that as well, though, like, do you like, we were never going back to kind of what Magnus was saying? It's like the space combat and the space side of things, which it was a space game originally. Like, do you think that all this work on the planet side has pulled away from the space element of
Definitely.
it all? And I think,
The amount
to a certain
that needs...
degree, not saying we don't want it, but if you feel like maybe it would have been nice to have had more of the space side fleshed out. I don't know if you would have. I don't know whether you could have got away with that. Otherwise, the effect of the
They have spread themselves
to be
quite
in there.
thin with it, with game mechanics and features and things. And that's what the trouble was when they started doing all these stretch goals. And it got to like, 62 million. And they thought, oh shit, okay, that's like 60 odd stretch goals we need to achieve. Let's stop doing that. And it's kind of like now they're focusing in areas, which is why it's taking so long, I guess, is one of the reasons for it.
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. That's why they decided to kind of stop the stretch goals as well, because like it's all right putting these, but someone must have sat there going on, we got to make all this, and it's not that we don't want to make it all, it's that how long is it going to take to make all this, and I think that's it's like the realization.
And you had some really weak stretch goals like the Jean plant. At like 35 million or whatever. It was a bonsai plant.
Quick,
So what are we gonna do? Let's
spend more money. We need a plant.
And you had some really weak stuff. Like some of the stretch goals were like additional ships. This one was like a plant in your hangar. It's a hangar flare essentially. And one of the stretch goals I think was like 10,000 UEC. One of them was literally 10,000 UEC.
Wow,
for $1 million.
I think that sums up a few things at that period of time. Is that it was all shit was going off crazy, and they probably had no idea how to cope with it because it was just like
they
expected
exactly
2 million. They
But
expected.
I suspect right now they're just kind of winging the stuff. Like a lot of this, they're talking about like, hey, this is going to be the thing we're going to do. Like the next week, no, we're not going to do that thing because don't listen to this guy. Like I talking about space combat ESP, I'm 90% sure what happened with ESP this patch was somebody, a junior developer, figured he was going to fix. He was a junior developer figured he was going to fix space combat temporarily by patching in auto aim, and then someone, either Chris Roberts or someone close to Chris Roberts, saw that and said, "Take it out or you're fired." And then they had nothing to replace it with.
Yeah,
because Chris,
it's not official.
Yeah, it's not official. Well, you can pretend I'm an official CIG.
Yeah, you're official. That's officially what happened.
That's official. I suspect that's what happened.
I officially suspect that's what happened.
I officially suspect that somebody patched in like auto aim to the ships, and Chris Roberts is like, "This is not my game," and get rid of that. And they had nothing to put in to replace it. That's why
they were fired.
Maybe not fired, but
that is not how we do stuff around here.
Yeah, you go out with the marketing guy that was like, "Hey, maybe we should inform the people about the Hercules."
Like, nope. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like, you know, like, have you seen the Family Guy, the Star Wars episode where the guy says, "Hey guys, don't worry, I feel so good, I've got this," and then he's like, "Don't worry, everyone, no one needs to do anything. He's got this. He's gonna take out the stuff." He's like, "I've got ESP, I got it. Don't worry."
That's probably like the worst statement in the office, isn't it? It's just some bloke goes, "Don't worry, I've got this," and everyone's just like, "Oh no,
my beer."
Yeah,
it's going down. It's not going to work. So, but
I think that's technology. I've got this. It's fine.
Yeah, I think that's what happened to him. I think, and that's why you saw him last time he was in a bunker, just in case it didn't work. But it did work, so he can come out of the bunker now, and he's good to go. Anyway, Mac. So you had a good week then.
You know what? Let's just fucking move on.
This is like,
are we still doing introductions?
Yeah, let's move on, please.
I'm fine. Let's get to the first section.
So let's get onto the meat. Let's get onto the meat of the week. So the first section, I've dedicated to IFCS and LTI because those are the best topics everyone. No, I'm joking. I'm only joking. No, LTI. Just triggering. No, the first thing was for me this week actually was the tutorial competition. Now, I've talked about this on my stream, and Miz and I have had a really great talk. I think on did we discuss it? Paint Pattern Run, or was it on my stream? You were chatting on my stream.
It was on your stream, I think. Yeah.
My stream. Yeah. And so Miz came up with a really good point of view, but I guess we should paint the picture first of exactly what happened, and then we can discuss it as everybody can give me their opinion.
I'm sure they can imagine. So. Madness was covered in salt, and I come in with a broom.
Yes. Yes. So I will read it out. Or Miz, actually, Miz, do you want to read it out what they said? Because you're probably clearer than me. I'll start frothing at the mouth.
I don't know why. I'll
grab a beer.
Why is there so much salt over this?
I don't know. I think it's we'll go. Basically, CIG have started a competition. If you didn't know, anyone in chat didn't know, CIG have started a competition to make 2 tutorials. Basically, one for Star Marine and one for Arena Commander, and they want you to do a very basic tutorial which just explains more of what it is than how to actually do both of those systems. So yeah, that's pretty much the premise of the thing, and the prizes are ships and everything else. The
videos are intended to help new pilots jump into the verse by explaining basic controls, flight mechanics, and more. I just wanted to be so people know exactly the terminology, rather than what our interpretation, exactly the terminology that was mentioned. We'd like to invite you to help us making this section even more robust throughout 2018, starting with Star Marine and Arena Commander. And then they say our community leader, and then it says the winning prizes for first place for Arena Commander are an Aegis Saber game package, second place is a Misk Razor game package, and third place is an Aegis Avenger. And then Star Marine would be an Anvil Terrapin, a Tumbril Nova, and a Tumbril Cyclone. There's a few things there immediately triggered me because 2 of those ships, one doesn't work and the other one isn't even in game yet. But we'll move on past those, the prizes being shit. My comment was, and this kind of got the most upvotes, amazingly. I've never had so many upvotes in my life. There must be a lot of other people similar to me. I said, really, this game isn't finished. IFCS isn't sorted. ESP doesn't work. Make it work first. Finish the game before you do some of these tutorials. You have over 500 employees. You want the community to do the work for some digital prizes that will be free in the game eventually anyway. So in a way, this is work for free. Why not commission some of the current content creators who already have made some tutorials over the many years and pay them a good amount of money? I'm there about brackets, pay your artists, a board game and Ubufara, Mac, STL Youngbloods, and several others. This is a joke, in my opinion. And I know many people who will be praising this and engaging with the community, but I am not a fan myself. That was my very emotional, genuinely, first read on it and first kind of comment on it. I had a little bit of time to think about it. And with Ms., I kind of like more aware of, I think, what they were trying to get at, it being a very, very basic tutorial. So I was obviously initially thinking a bit more in-depth tutorial. However, it still doesn't change my views on a few of the comments I made. It's just a bit more aware of it. Anyway, that was my response. So
the way I see it, which is kind of stripped down basic. Now, I get what you're saying about it being things aren't finished, so you can't really, like, I started a tutorial series, but the problem is, and I know Miz has as well, but the problem is things are changing. So you do a tutorial, it changes, you do another tutorial. But basically, the way I see it is Star Citizen want to give the opportunity to players, content creators, to create videos. It's a good thing. They also want to give people free ships. Always a good thing. Yeah. Regardless of whether they're working or not. The game's an alpha anyway, so they'll eventually work. The other thing is that, you know, all I see is just the good for the good for the good. If people don't want to enter, they don't have to enter. If they want to enter, they can enter and they can win a good. There's no bad in that. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong.
There is one bad in it, but I'll go over that in a minute. But the thing that I said that Madness was kind of wrong was if you actually look at the first sentence. Okay, I didn't see the bit it said about explaining flight mechanics, which is probably a bit too in-depth for a 5-minute tutorial. I think what they meant was this is what SCM is, this is what pre-mode is, or whatever for like flight controls. But if you actually click how they said, if you've seen our example tutorials, they've already got 2 tutorials, and they're so basic. It's literally press W to go forward, press S to go back, and it literally goes for all that. Press F1 for your mobi-glass, and that's all they really wanted. They wanted an informative tutorial on it's pretty, because the amount of people that come on and said, "What is Arena Commander? What is Star Marine? How does it? You know, how do I even get into the game? What's a private match? What's a public match?" Like, they don't explain things, and I think that's what it was meant to be, just a tutorial on literally the very basics of how this is what the menu is and this is what the menu means. And that's about as much as in-depth as they wanted, I think.
That sums up how bad their own personal just explanation of shit is on their game and on their webpage, in my opinion. That's my first.
This is my thing, though. Like, as a content creator myself, I can make a tutorial on my YouTube channel. Like, I get exposure for doing that on the CIG website for first place. That's great. More exposure for me. I get more followers from that, maybe. People who wouldn't have seen my channel to begin with see my channel. I get a free ship out of it, or a free package or something for my hangar, whatever. That's great for me. I'm more interested about the first place prize, where my YouTube channel gets featured and I get my Twitch link and people go watch me on Twitch or something. But for me, like, I'm thinking about making Star Marine tutorials anyways, just for everyone else's basic understanding, so we can help increase the skill floor for Star Citizen, have more interesting combat, that kind of stuff. So I'm not killing people in light armor all the time. Like, you don't need to be wearing light armor right now. You should. Here's how to change your loadout. Like, but I do agree with Madness that it's too soon. There's just too many goddamn bugs, and they're changing stuff so quickly sometimes. Like the default key bindings, like when what was it, the end of 3.0? They every fucking patch they were changing the default key bindings. It's like they could pull that on you too. It's just like, that's like, it's not quite the right time.
It's frustrating, isn't it? But the thing is, it's like, it's always going to change, and I agree that it's a bit silly making tutorials on sections that are just going to keep changing. But if you can win a free ship out of it and you enjoy making videos, and the new people want to know how to do it for that moment, there's no harm in that.
That's why I think
It's
they want the
also-
basic. Go on, sorry, Needle. You haven't spoken.
Like, everyone keeps bringing up the fact that the game is changing. Yes, the game is going to change. Yes, we're getting quarterly patches, but there's also, in my opinion, no harm in making it a regular competition.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And in terms of just because it changes, but what about the people now? What about the people coming in now that want to know what it means? It's not saying, oh, because that's what happened with the first tutorial. They pulled it out because things changed. And people are going, what? I'd rather have had some tutorial than nothing at all. Because the new people that are coming in aren't getting any instruction whatsoever. And it's like, well, we're just lost. So
Well, I can go to YouTube right now and look for like a Star Citizen tutorial and probably find something. Like there's probably someone out there.
But they want to feature
that's already
something on
made
their
one.
website.
I know.
I don't honestly, I don't think it's a problem. I think it's a good thing. I think just getting more people creating stuff is fine. The one downside I would say to it is if the people that submitted the videos, they've committed to saying you're going to be featured on the website. Now, if you submit the videos and everybody's shit, they've got to at least pick someone that's crap and doesn't explain it very well, and then that's not going to be very good. But I mean, obviously they're gunning for the fact that not everybody is going to be shit, but it would be quite funny.
I'm sure there'll be people that do it well, you know.
It's like we've extended. If if they say we've extended the competition for another week to 2 weeks, that everybody that submitted one was shit.
I got something good.
I've
Dirk,
linked the best. I've linked
Dirk,
the best
Dirk
tutorials
C.
I've seen
Fenner
so far.
brings up a good point in the stream chat, and I just like to tear this point apart right now, live. Some of the key bindings aren't accurate when you open up the key bindings list. They tell you to do things on the key. You go to the key bindings menu and it shows you that big layout of your keyboard. They didn't change that when they changed the default key bindings. That image is out of date.
Yeah, it's also not just that; it's also explaining what arena. So what arena commander is like. So because a lot of times, like say for example, streamers, and I've done this even when trying to make some tutorial videos. You turn and say, "Oh yeah, we go onto the PU, and this is on the PU," and everyone's just like, "If you've never seen Stars, what the fuck's the PU?
Yeah.
What is that? That shorthand word?
We take it for granted, don't we? That everyone is on the same level as us, as in understanding. And the game is a massive learning curve. It's going to get even more so when they have these new mechanics in.
I mean,
we're talking.
They need
someone that's never ever seen the game before, tutorial style. It's just, and this is what I was starting to do until they changed all the menu now. But it's like it's literally this is Star Marine. What is Star Marine? Or so it's. I know you could probably go for it and you could click it and you could join the game and work out roughly what it is. But it's still nice to. Some people before they even buy a game, they want to know what's available, and they don't know what's available if it just says. And this is what we've said about the complaint about the website. It's not clear. But just saying, oh, you can go to the persistent universe. Well, what the fuck's a persistent universe? Isn't that?
Yeah. What are the limitations
Arena
inside
Commander.
the
Well, what's
universe?
Arena Commander? What is it?
What is your actual
bullet
points? Your actual issue with it? Like, what is it you don't like about it exactly?
I still don't like. Here's my thing as well. Like they've already done 2 videos. They've got a whole fucking production team that does weekly shows for us from a subscription model. Okay, that does proper shows. Why couldn't they just seriously? How hard would it be to have one person sitting in front of the screen and go, "This is Arena Commander," in a lovely little video for like 5 minutes, just saying Arena Commander with a script and just read it out, blah 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 blah. Put that on the web page, and then the next one for Star Marine, and then literally when you go into the web page, it tells you immediately. And then you could just have some pictures to explain.
What's wrong with this model, though?
I'm sure they could have.
I've told you it's too soon.
They're doing something nice and including the community in the process.
It's community-generated content.
No, they're saving money.
Any content creator would love to be.
They're not saving money. They're not being
anyway.
Because, as you said, it wouldn't take them long to create.
Why
the
would
video
saving money be a bad thing?
Why would saving money be a bad thing?
Why is saving money a bad thing?
Why is that a bad?
Because I think for me, it's like if they're going to do it properly, they're going to do it well.
They probably will do it properly eventually.
Invest. Yeah. But I'd rather. But
when it's more robust. But
pay
for now,
the money.
Why not encourage us to do it?
Yeah, but
and give us free stuff.
Then pay them.
They could do it, yes, but you could also get featured. A little bit of bandits. Your channel, your YouTube channel.
You should do a dogfighting, an advanced dogfighting tutorial.
Yeah, for sure. I will do when IFCS works and everything's working. I'll do one.
When everything's working for
bullshit. Then I'll do it. I mean, you guys all make very, very valid points. It's absolutely fine. I totally recognize it and completely get where you're coming from. But it just doesn't still sweat. I still don't like it. This is, of all the other competitions, like, I loved the story one. Thought that was a fantastic competition.
Yeah.
I like the picture one. I'd like them to do just the content creation one again, where they do really great videos and the community goes out and does cool videos and they present them, and then you get like a huge prize, like a big prize, because the amount of time it does to do videos is so much more. I mean, it's just talk about the prizes themselves. For the amount of effort to do these tutorial videos, I swear to God, is not worth the prizes that they're rewarding either. Considering taking a photo, or what was the one, like doing a script or a video or stuff, you get like, I just, you know, like we could talk about that as well. I'm not saying it's like, it's not bad. I just don't like the timing as well. The timing is not right. If they'd done 3.2 and they launched 3.2, then maybe I might change my tune a bit, because they've got all these new mechanics in, the game's working, big patch, new people on board. Cool, I get it, but no.
Here's my thing. Bring up a timing argument here, and I'm not trying to upset you more, but this is kind of like a feeling I have about the general outrage over this. I feel like a lot of the outrage is coming from the Hercules kind of LTI debacle. Like that's kind of migrating over a little bit to this tutorial, because I don't really see anything wrong with this tutorial by itself. But I do feel like there's a kind of an underlying current of just like outrage in general over anything CIG does.
They targeted, the problem is that I think there's a few things. I think I agree. Maybe there's a little bit of a carry on from that. But I think the other thing is like I've said off stream before we did, this is specifically targeted at, and this will be my last kind of thing, we'll move on. They'd be specifically targeted this part of the tutorial to, like I said, a part of gamers of the game, combat pilots and PvPers who have had to deal with now, you know, for a chunk of time, incredibly bad gameplay. Star Marine's been pretty crap, really, let's be honest, for quite a while now. No real new improvements, no new real maps. It's just generally, there's a few improvements, but not as much as people would like if they do Star Marine. The numbers prove that in terms of who's playing it. And then also for the combat pilots, IFCS is just getting worse. ESP is just literally the worst I've ever played, and combat is a nightmare. And so for me, it's like they want a tutorial on it. I could see why people get mad. Like they just go,
okay, I can see. I get you now. I get you now, Madness. I get you.
Do you know what I mean?
I understand it. Yeah.
Like
you're trying to introduce essentially broken game modes to new players. Like, hey, this is Star Marine first-person combat. Here's Star Marine. This is awful. Like, here's how you dogfight in Arena Commander. This is awful.
Okay, but unless you're going to lock those off.
I kind of understand that.
That's the emotional part. I think that's the emotional reason for it. And I think that's why a lot of people got salty about it. But I think what you guys say is absolutely valid as well. I'm not totally saying you guys are wrong with, when you break it down, take all the emotion, all the frustration away. If that's what they're just going to do, is very basic videos and just clear and calm, then yeah, but I still think it's the wrong time. But it's not as bad. Anyway,
introducing new players to essentially a broken flight model. ESP just isn't there. In fact, I've tried this. I've flown without ESP and with ESP in the current patch. No change. Same difference.
Yeah. And that's just it. And that's it. And that's just so you understand where I think it kind of comes from. But like I said, there's nothing. I'm all for rewarding backers and content creators, and I like to do more. I actually think they could do more rewarding, in my opinion. I always think they're cheap under the digital packs. They could do more bigger digital packs. A Saber, sorry, seriously, 100 and like, why not give him a 600i? Why not give him an Idris? Because that is a lot of work to do tutorial videos, cutting, editing, voicing.
But people don't have to enter. So
sorry, news just in about my flight. Sorry to
my voice is focusing.
The delay has been reduced by 20 minutes. So
it's going backwards.
Another 4 hours.
Oh, 20 minutes.
Sweet.
As he put his foot down then.
Anyway,
3 hours.
We found the best tutorial.
Maybe they turned on the IFCS
according to Madden.
So Jolly is another combat pilot of mine. He's done 2 amazing tutorials.
Oh God, this video.
So I clipped this because I was with him and we were discussing what we should do, and we had lots of ideas. We were doing pencil drawings, and then we had an idea with a fan, and then we came up with this one, which was he kept like cutting out. He'd already cut out, and then we stuck it on sticks.
Did he just have these ready?
Yes. No, Jolly got them all sorted, and then he reincarnated True Fidelity like flames as well and stuff.
Fucking love that.
To one of them. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. It was trending as well, which was quite good.
Like a puppeteer tutorial.
It was a proper it's just the
Punch and Judy introducing
honestly,
it.
Honestly, we were thinking of like all the terrible ways, like the really amateur, like awful ways you could do tutorial just for fun. Like we had so many. Like I said, we had one with we were just going to show what combat is currently in the current patch. So we were going to attach them to a fan and then just film them for 24 hours on time lapse of somebody trying to shoot someone. And just swing around and say, "This is the current game mode."
Like a potato.
Can it?
There's a potato.
So yeah, set fire to it. The true immersion, and then it started to set fire to everything else. Which was hilarious.
And this
That's
is
some fidelity right there. That's some fidelity.
I mean, you just can't recreate those explosions, can you? Really?
Yeah, that fire looks really real.
I'll link the chat. I'll link them in chat. People can watch them later on their own.
So there we go. That concludes the tutorial.
That concludes tutorial. The tutorial section.
That controls this. That controls the stream. Got the fire alarm going off. Got
an hour.
The next, I think the next thing on the list, I guess, was we've talked about this. I talked about this previously when I did a previous podcast, but somebody linked this in Reddit today, which was kind of fun, and I think it's always good to talk about this one, which is about weather effects within the game. And like, you know, new games are always coming out and we always get better and better weather effects. And this is a link to an old game actually, which had really good, which is called Drive, which had amazing water and rain and stuff. And then there's another one.
Actually look the Drive one looks realistic. Like the actual water itself, it doesn't look like it's real. I was like, is that a game?
I can't wait.
It is a game.
For more, because we've seen the effects on the glass. You know, they've been showing us like the crack and the dirt and the way that the cold, kind of the breath. You know, all that kind of effect. So I'm curious, like with water and steam and how we're going to get different effects on our kind of, because add more
flying
atmosphere.
through the rain. I'd love to see how that happens.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen in the latest.
We've got shields, haven't you? The problem is we've got these super shields that stops the rain going through, right? If you can go through atmosphere, the shields will stop the rain. That's the problem.
You just turn them off, see what happens.
I would turn them off. I'd be like, it's worth it just to see the cool rain effect.
And then the window wipers.
I mean, honestly, okay, think about it. If you spend all this time making this really cool rain effect on the windshield, wouldn't you just say fuck it? Like, let's just let the rain go through the shields and just have this cool effect that players immersive.
I would.
Immersion. I would. Like, we spent all this money,
but someone would say not for true fidelity.
Well,
Some
actually,
dick,
it's not right. Rain will not pass through plasma. Fuck off. Fuck off. Get out.
Tell them the fuck off.
We saw in ATV they had that little. It was, I don't really know what it was. I can't remember now. Let me just consult my notes.
The cloud effect.
In Hurston, no, it's in Hurston. They had the environmental effects, where it says they were sort of developing the prototypes for artistic direction, mood, and visual effects that were needed for it. And it was kind of like cloudy and it was more like weather. But I don't think I think it was just a small snippet.
Do you mean when all the bits of papery things were like floating about?
Yeah. Someone hasn't done the job and picked up all the litter around Hurston, clearly.
It actually reminded me of some of the flood levels from Halo, like Halo 2. Like that,
that orange.
Kind of like,
I'll put it
all
on
the
stream.
weird globbies flying through the air.
Well, I got the Blade Runner kind of radiation zone effect. That was the way I kind of felt like.
Yeah, and
on the junkyard one, you had the clouds and stuff, and then you come to this, and it's like, I think it's meant to be almost like burnt ash, isn't it? Because isn't it like manufacturing and stuff there? So I think
it's pollution. I think, isn't it? It's, it's the whole place, I don't know if it's the whole planet or just around the main landing zone.
I think it's They said they had a scrap biome too. So
I mean, that's it's all this biome stuff's coming up later, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah.
Well, we can talk about it. It's all
part
of the same thing. So
we just roll.
Before we continue, anyone in chat, if you wish to ask any questions for the podcast, question in chat.
You can fuck off.
Should bring you up the form. He does not represent the Asylum podcast. It's fine.
He's just a Scot we invited.
I'm the IT employee.
Were you sponsored? Did you get a computer? Did you get ships to give away, Mac?
No, I'm not big enough.
Did you get an Intel Optane?
I'm just saying, if you didn't get the free ships, you weren't able to say RSI sponsored, unfortunately. So
I would have been nice.
But you are in the game though, so
I mean, what the fuck? I refuse that now. I'm going to take myself out of the game. Although I can't, because I'm signed away.
He's gonna start streaming Fortnite from now on.
Yeah, fuck this. What
I hear DayZ has a new patch incoming.
Oh,
another one. Woohoo!
Oh, if they keep this up, it's gonna be 2 times a year at this rate. Twice a year. They're breaking. Yeah, Daisy's still getting patches.
You laugh, but how long did we
Hey,
wait for the
don't
Star
laugh.
Citizen patch?
Yeah,
We had a whole year for that one,
year.
so...
One a year.
One a year, I know.
One more than Star Citizen.
Mr. One Time.
Wow. This year though, it's been great, and it will be good this year.
At least Daisy's been in development much longer.
Yes. Yes.
So we have that. We have that on it.
Forever.
For
But,
fucking ever.
But anyway, Biomes.
But the biomes and the way we saw like the kind of I love this. I did expect a lion to pounce out on this video at some point.
Yeah,
Or
some
just someone
alien
holding
lion.
up the lion cub.
I mean, you're laughing about that, but I actually was on Yellow today. I played
Which
that
is-
song as the sun came over the horizon.
Someone should have done it. It was literally. Yeah.
Do that noise
it was-
again, Miz, because that was not
Yeah.
Disney at all. Do it again.
It was.
No.
Are you on
I'm
about
sure it's
copyright?
vaguely racist to try to.
It sounded more Native American than.
I think we should
Make
probably
sure everybody
move on
submits the
now.
claims to support at Twitch TV on Twitter.
I'm like, I love that film, and that does not remind me of it at all.
It's the starting sequence, kind of.
That was
We obviously watch different films. That's all I can say. Right there.
I watched
Thinking of a
I watched the Chinese version. It's like the
The
copyright
Chinese
one.
bootleg.
You mentioned it worse.
They redubbed the audio for the entire movie.
Oh my god! Could you imagine? That would be just. I would want someone. If someone has the Chinese dubbed version of Lion King, please send it into the Asylum.
And they had traditional Chinese music instead of the actual African sort of.
so we can watch.
Yeah,
Watch
let's move on.
Let's move on.
That would be
Come on,
great.
that's the
That would
most
be great.
sensible thing. Listen to
You know what,
Moist
actually,
Doodle.
The other
We
thing.
didn't speak about Biomes. We didn't even fucking talk
We
about
didn't.
it.
No, we haven't talked about. I was
Oh,
going to say is
bring it
I was
back.
playing Conan.
Bring it back.
and
Bring
they
it
had
back.
They had the sandstorm, and that was the cool thing with what I was seeing in Star Citizen. Again, it was like I'm curious because the one I was playing on Conan, it had the kind of the dusty thing, but when you saw the sky, there was like this amazing kind of swirls and all sorts of crazy stuff in the graphics. I must record it next time it goes on. I'd never seen anything like it. It was crazy cool, and I'm just curious to see more if they're going to do like more of those alien-esque kind of storms and things that just feel different. You know what I mean? How
Yeah.
at some point, obviously, get the basics of what we already know down because that's really good. But I'll be kind of curious if they, what would be an alien? What would be an alien kind of storm to you? What would you consider an alien if you had to think of
We
one?
don't
like,
know any
now on the
aliens,
spot?
so I don't know.
If you had to design it, be creative. Like, what would you do to make it feel alien? Because it's
Fucking
hard.
raining xenomorphs, for fuck's sake. Just face
Raining-
coming
raining
straight down
little
on you.
balls of
That's a
mercury.
movie.
Yeah.
What was that? Sharknado, Xenomorph Nado. Imagine
Yeah,
that
she was Xenomorph NATO, Sharknado, and said, yeah,
one. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
Sharks.
Or
Like,
just-
yeah.
Because I'm just thinking of movies where I was trying to think of like movies which give an alien kind of like atmosphere and stuff. And give storms that-
Random fact. Sorry. Oh my god. So Cecil, who's one of my mods, he is actually followed on Twitter by the director of Sharknado, which doesn't sound like very much, but if you actually look at the amount of people he follows, it's only about 250
Wait.
people. So that's quite impressive.
Isn't that? It wasn't
That's a
Sharknado
claim
made
to
by
make.
the Asylum? Wasn't it? Wasn't the Asylum that did Sharknado? I swear to
all
God, that
go
was the name of the
quick.
production studio.
Shh, we weren't telling people that.
Someone talk while we're all.
We're
Googling.
actually officially really, really good at what we do. We've secretly been doing films for about 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody
Wow,
knows.
good.
Not good films. 3.3 out of 10, mind. That's how we're going downhill.
That's why we're still doing a podcast.
Yes, it's distributor is the Asylum. The Asylum distributed it. They didn't produce it.
Nah,
Yeah.
see?
Production company was Sci-Fi.
Told you we
Well,
Chinese
they didn't
bootlegged it.
distribute it very well, did they?
We Chinese bootlegged it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Through the podcast. If anyone wants a copy, exclamation! No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you-
Exclamation mark merch.
There's a lady that wanted to be on there.
Biome.
and She was looking
Alien
over-
weather.
Alien weather, that's what we were talking about, weren't we?
So they
Raining
did say something
asteroids.
about the biomes with the grass and the trees using the weather tech to test the bendability or something. I presume that's like wind effects and things like that coming in. So it's a good
making
resource
the
to be able to
nature
test. Yeah.
But
But at the moment
they
the grass is
said,
very still.
something that I find quite cool. Obviously, we know the moons. I think there's 4 moons with Hurston, and we know one of them is likely to be an acidic all over biome. Like the whole moon is going to be acidic.
Speaking
Excuse me. That was
speaking of toxic,
the inner alien. But
Just
but the Hurston itself is going to be multiple biomes, which we've not seen in many games. Like most games, they have, like even Star Wars, it has
you have the ice planet, the forest planet, the desert planet.
So with Hurston having, we know it's like very likely that Hurston is going to have this sort of forested area. We've seen on the Citizen or wherever it was where they had those sort of fat African trees, you know, the ones that are like fat all the way up. And we've also seen
round at the bottom.
Yeah, it's like you don't do it again, Miz. Don't do it again. We moved on from that one. Twitch is now watching like just one more, and you're dead.
One more.
So what I really like is the fact that the planets are going to be multiple biomes. They're not just going to be one single biome all the way around. It's going to be like Earth. There's going to be like desert, savanna stuff.
Still trying.
Pick up your mic. It looks like a fucking little lion.
I've got the music playing in the background. It's all right.
But I find it cool.
But yeah, they already have yellow. Already has different biomes right now. It's a nice thing. It's just you go in there and it's like, oh, you have this nice little soft. You have the snow areas. You have the nice little plain areas with the rocks and whatnot. So I definitely want them. I don't want the goddamn ice planet and the salt planet. No. Name it after you, Madness.
Just Madness sitting there.
Do you think we'll have like complete?
There's quite a few people who be
like
on the salt planet, not just me. Sorry, Miss.
So what is this like junk planet part? Like why is it junk? Junkyard part? Is it just where things have crashed? Or I mean, you don't have a junk biome, do you?
Isn't that Hurston?
Yeah.
I thought it was like where their recycling area. I know Hurston's is like this giant manufacturing area where they didn't give a fuck about the environment, so they just dump things wherever. So that's the scrap biome, essentially just a scrap yard where they just dumped everything and just like, well, we don't care, just put it here.
Okay, I thought there was something about with biomes. I was thinking, well, that's a weird biome because it's just a salt junkyard.
Kind of like how
it overlooks some of the largest strip mining operations that are currently underway. Does that mean strip mining is in ships, or I assume it's?
No, I think that's
Plants,
like in
ground
manufacture plant.
It'll be
mining,
minerals.
yeah.
I think minerals resources.
I think it does sound weird when they call it a scrap biome, but I think the way that they're thinking of the term scrap biome is procedural generation. So like they're designing an area that can just be, or a seed essentially that can be scrap. You know,
kind of like how the what is it, the Tumbler Cyclone is technically in the ship pipeline, even though it's not a ship. It's just the nomenclature they use to describe the feature.
Yeah, it's like SCM is, you know, space combat maneuvers on a Nox.
Or is it a ship though? Because once the water's in, maybe it will float.
Maybe it'll be a submersible, a submarine. Won't work very good. Well, then it's a shitty submarine. Yeah. It blows up underwater. That's a shitty one, but it's still a submarine.
It's good. I mean, a lot of people saying in chat, which I agree with, like in terms of like alien stuff, is like what we think is water. They said it's not going to be. It might not be water. It just looks like water, but it ain't going to be water. Or you can have different type. You know, rain isn't really
methane.
Raining methane or raining mercury.
We already know it rains glass on some planets.
Space does weird things. So that would be kind of cool. That would be cool how they but the problem with that is if you go too many variations, like because they're so anal about the attention to detail, then every one of those variable things has to have an equal effect to something and then have to be animated. And then, you know, so if you do acid, for example, then they will want to make it so that the suit of armor shows the kind of acid corrosion as if it's kind of being eaten away. You know?
You would have to be able to eat the chocolate rain and increase your hunger levels.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, dude, a chocolate planet would be. I would literally be Homer Simpson, the land of chocolate, just dancing, make it really
drops in the back.
Feels like
just like, yeah.
Imagine the inhabitants though. They'd be like,
kind of feels like we're edging towards Rick and Morty slightly,
just a little bit.
We are. But it would be I hope they do that would be great, like Easter egg for the Easter egg section. They could do like a chocolate planet. Could you
Like
imagine
a Kinder Surprise. You open it up and there's like a little toy inside.
No, they're banned for you.
Wait, sorry,
a
you just call
little hanger flare.
Did you just call it Kinder Surprise?
Kind of surprise.
what
Well, they
Kinder
are banned over
Surprise.
there, so they can call it what they like, I suppose.
Fantastic. So anyway, that was the
How do
kind
you
of the
trigger it for Brits?
that was the Biomes.
Ban Kinder Surprise.
Yeah.
Do we get any questions on planets at all? Whilst we're on?
I don't think we've had
Did we
any. I
get
think
any
people
questions?
People have sidled out the stream rather than actually asked questions.
Okay.
Okay, Boo Therapy has said planets have the potential and area to have more content and things to do than in empty space. Do you believe CRG will heavily invest in the on-ground gameplay? I think they already are.
They already have.
Yeah.
They built vehicles. They're
No.
gonna have to figure out some way to get
We've
them
got
in the game.
tanks.
The game probably would have
much
been out
more.
now if it wasn't for planets.
It could very well be, actually. Yeah,
Yes.
no, and it is all this other stuff. Like we've seen a big insurge in like ground vehicles because they were like, shit, we have all these planets now. They can't walk across.
You can fly across them with an Aurora.
That's true. Put wheels on it.
There you go.
Yeah,
We call
a wheel-
that the racing Cyclone. By the way, I'm really disappointed that they didn't put a giant fucking jet engine on the racing variant of the Cyclone. They missed huge fucking just.
It's because there's no straight roads yet. We need the Romans to come down and.
Well, they
Build a
said
fucking
they've explained the road situation is just to do the procedural. They can't lock them down. So
Yeah, that's what my council say every week when I ring up about the potholes.
can't lock them down. They
Can't
keep
repair
moving.
them because they keep changing in the rain and the
We're
snow.
procedurally generating them as we speak. We hope to have it what?
Sounds about right. Sounds about right. But they will get that done eventually. That will be all. They'll do the roads and it'll all be put in because they've been building the tools. So I expect that'll be in, and then we'll be able to gun it flat out across deserts and stuff. And that'll be amazing.
There you go.
Can't wait for it. I mean, what I saw when we seen what's interesting as well with the biomes, and it brings me to the Vandal ships. Is there's some old school pictures. I haven't got them unfortunately because I didn't get around to time to do it. But someone finds them or knows about them, that'd be awesome. Because someone linked them into my link me them, and they're the Harvester.
Oh,
so we
yeah,
know
in
because
ATV.
we know.
So
yeah,
for those of
we
you who
know.
link those pictures to Badness right now, he'll give you a free
Ship.
ship.
For doing his work, yeah.
Yes, for doing his
Viewer
job.
competition.
Viewer competition.
I should be taking a leaf out of. I should do more of that, shouldn't I? Really, I should actually for the
Yeah.
podcast. We should, like I did actually say at the
I
end
think
of
you
last
should
week.
pay them though if they're going to go
Free
looking for your
people.
content.
Can I get more free people to come and do free stuff for the podcast, please? That would really appreciate it. And no, but
The
yeah,
harvester was there. You're on about
the
the cargo
harvester.
train.
That was what I was on
thing.
about. But the one there's this harvester that looks like it's got like because the way I look at it is because the Vandal, basically their whole they come, they harvest, they take all the resources, then they
There you
move
go.
on.
It's
Effectively.
here.
That's
Yeah.
kind of the way
This
they
was
roll.
in
They actually
ATV.
did it on last,
This one
yeah,
was
it was on last ATV. They collect all the biomass and they grind it up and they make this paste out of it. They make all their chips and their technologies out of it.
So
I
this got me
love it.
thinking. It's got me
Yeah.
thinking because obviously we can buy land on planets,
Mhm.
and so I'm wondering if, like, obviously where the Vandal are, if there will be potentially planets which are incredibly resource rich, but at real risk of having the Vandal come and clean it out every so often, or come and just attack and just completely decimate. If they will
That'd
actually
be a
create
right
that sort
piss
of
take, wouldn't
mechanic.
it? Imagine that that Artcore moon, that team, that whole for the last 5 years they've been building these. You know, we were talking about earlier. They've been building these massive Artcore on their planet, on New York, on the moon, and then this fucking Vandal comes down. Like, they're offline at the moment, and they're like, "Oh no, we'll crash."
We can't do it offline.
Fucking,
Fucking roads.
what makes it even worse is the NPCs that are bulldozing your New York. And it's not an actual player. It's just the NPCs are coming down. And fucking
Yeah,
your shit
like, what
now.
are you
The
doing?
NPCs. What's happening? But then do you think? But then that got me thinking again. Was like, well, if they can do NPCs potentially have that kind of ship or that kind of vehicle in the game to kind of harvest and mow things down. Because we saw so many trees, for example. I was thinking, you know, as a vehicles, we're going to see more industrial type of vehicles that which could potentially mow down huge amounts of area to create, so you could build on. You know, we've got the Pioneer, for example, but the Pioneer is going to need, I think, massive land vehicles that could potentially move things. So we're going to have more of that type of gameplay as well with these kind of. They showed us another ship that was like a mining land vehicle as well with like had like tracks on it and stuff, and it looked pretty. As Brian Chambers linked it on his Twitter. And it just got me thinking, like, you talk about investment and land vehicles. I think they have to do a shit ton more.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
There's. I bet they already have like a massive list of vehicles, especially when it comes to industry, even construction vehicles. Because at the moment, the Pioneer only builds outposts. There's going to be loads more different types of buildings eventually. But you do make a good point about those harvesters, like.
Are they player catchable? Can players catch them?
Oh yeah, could you imagine?
Yeah. Can you catch them? Can you steal them? Can we use them? Are they going to be?
I mean, the driller, yeah, the transport ship for the harvester. Can you capture that? Capture a harvester and then flatten someone in New York? Someone's New York.
Someone's stream more videos. I've nicked a Vandal King ship, and there's like someone chasing behind them.
It will be interesting to see what we were able to destroy, because obviously, like with the first iteration of mining, it's placed rocks rather than the actual surface itself. Yeah. So are we going to have, are trees going to count as like placed goods that you can harvest down and then they will regrow, or are they going to be stuff that we can't touch? It'll be interesting to know what that balance is, because I don't know. Yeah, it would feel it's weird in some ways if you can't cut the trees down, but then you could also imagine it completely wrecking the surface of somewhere. If someone just goes, right, I'm going to deforest this place today, and just literally churn the whole thing down for no reason other than because they want to destroy green stuff. So,
I'd like them to do that. I personally would like them to be able to do. You can decimate the whole area if you want to, completely remove anything and everything if you really want to. And then you can buy in fake ones like palm trees and do whatever you did on the beach, the movie. You know, you can destroy the natural habitat.
We're making Vegas, everybody.
You can kind of put whatever you want in, you know.
Flying those fat African trees from Hurston.
Yeah, you can do it, and you do whatever you want with it. I'd like them to build
stick it on yellow.
You know, I want to put some sand here. I want to put like palm trees. I want to put water here.
What are you building?
You can just do whatever you want.
It's like you've already thought about this.
It's basically like he's got the choice of going to a deserted island already, or destroying a complete rainforest, hiring in sand, putting some trees down and making his own island. And it's like, what are you doing?
I don't think the trees grow in salt plains, to be honest.
It's fine. We'll make it work. Don't worry. We'll make it work. Big dome over.
But it was really cool what they said about the Vandal, about them absorbing other races and repurposing their own tech. So that it's kind of like all their ships and their equipment is absorbed technology from any of the race that they've demolished. What?
Your light in your head is just vanishing over time. You just look
weird, isn't it?
Yeah, keep going close.
It.
I like I've got a mask on.
It's better with the light off. There you go. Keep the light off.
Burning.
Yeah. I look like some weird sort of LA gang member.
Some superhero. There you go.
That's better. I'll take that.
Superhero.
Superman. Oh wait, that works.
Oh wait, hang on. He's coined that already.
Yeah, what?
So we have got a question from the prisoner. He says, you have LTI or even your insurance, but you sell your weapons on the ship for UEC. But if your ship is lost, do you get it all back?
You only get the hull.
Yeah,
you get whatever the default.
Oh, the default weapon. Sorry, yeah. Sorry, I see. Yeah.
But if you
sold the default weapons,
I think that's the sort of stuff that they're going to have to look into in terms of exploiting.
All they did with. I'm sorry, I have to mention it because I can't go an entire week without mentioning it. EVE Online.
Yeah, EVE Online.
The default weapons just didn't have a value.
Yeah. You won't have a sell value. It'd be sell for 0 if it comes default on your ship.
And to be honest, even if you did sell it, the cost of well, I suppose it's LTI. Yeah, probably.
So hang on, I suppose. Hang on, just so that because I'm trying to understand it. So the default weapons and EVE ships didn't have a value, but was it always the same default weapons for every ship, or was it different?
So you had racial ships, and each one had a certain weapon.
No, you
racial ship.
No, because the way we play ours at the moment,
what's race got to do with this?
What we got now is What we got now is you've got different. we have different loadouts. You know, like a scorpion gun. We've got like panthers. We've got guns that are quite beastie on something. Not like one
if you
type.
try to sell them to the store, you're not going to get any UEC. If you try to sell the weapons that come equipped with the ship.
Is counting as the value of that ship. So your weapons are included in the value of the ship. So if you take them out, your components will probably have 0 value. It's you bought that as a package.
They may do. That's one way of
confirmed.
dealing with that.
Confirmed.
Is it?
Confirmed. Is it?
You fucking idiot. I'm taking
That's what Max already got it on his YouTube video. He's already like,
YouTube.
Oh, really?
I'll keep talking. What did you learn? Tell me.
So yeah, they have said that they will look into the LTI thing to make sure that people don't exploit it, and I don't know what they've got planned. And a lot of the times they don't really want to say exactly what they're doing. It's the same with trolling, isn't it? You don't want to give away exactly what they're doing because then people will learn what it is and figure a way around it. But they will make sure, I hope, and I'm sure people will try and figure a way around it to exploit the whole LTI. And
I'm of the mindset the more they let people aware of certain potential mechanics, the sooner they can understand the ways that people are going to work around them, because there's so many more minds out here figuring out and who know stuff to be able to kind of push test or kind of like stress test their concepts. You know what I mean? That's the reality. Is that people, like when I do my Spectrum, I'm getting stress tested by X number of thousands of people what I'm saying, and people are downvoting or upvoting based on, and then giving me feedback going, and usually some of it is like, yeah, like Miz just does it, sweeps my legs from under me in 5 seconds. I mean, you know, it's
because he's a ninja.
Because he's a ninja. But that's the thing, is these guys are clever, but there's really a lot of other clever people out there who can figure out how to break their theories, you know? Very quickly.
But the other thing on that as well is, although it's LTI and you might get the whole value back of the ship and everything, and you could still sell you could sell the weapons, they've already said that if you have to claim your ship, it will take longer each time. And also, different ships will take, if it's a rarer ship, they might not even have a ship to replace it for a while. So you'll wait. So although you may make a profit if they did it this way, it wouldn't be worth it, because you could probably quickly do a cargo run and make the value of, say, them weapons than you would destroying your ship solely for the purpose of selling the weapons on it and getting new weapons. The reward just wouldn't be worth it. So they may do it that way.
Do you reckon it's going to be like Escape from Tarkov, where you insure something and then quickly fucking ditch it as quick as you can when you find something better?
Yeah,
probably.
And then it's like, oh well, didn't matter.
Oh well, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see, right, with all that stuff. But it's going to be exciting. I'm excited about the rest of this year, honestly, with all the new patches. 3.2. I'm excited to get my hands on it.
The Avenger.
Yeah, the Avenger and all the good stuff, like the roadmap stuff that they've shown us. I mean, I know that a lot of it's still probably not going to make it, but it's still just exciting to know we've got content coming. And I don't know about, I think most of the people here will probably be saying the same thing in terms of, you know, 3.1 and all the development that they've done up to it has been good, solid, really great. Now I can't wait to get the next bit. You know, I'm excited for the next bit.
And something to point out as well is when I think it was the week before, I'm sure you spoke about it on the podcast last week, but it's about the Gravlev, how sometimes they can have something in the actual development build that is working perfectly fine, stick it into the actual persistent universe, and it all fucks up.
It's funny you should mention that.
Oh, it's like you asked me to.
It's like we planned this. Yeah. Who thought?
There could be stuff like this that doesn't work once they put it into the PU.
AI. I have giggled to myself.
Yeah. It was. I've watched this so many times. Yeah.
3.3 is bringing grenades. God forbid having AI grenades. They're just going to be like.
But they just shoot their load as soon as you touch them, though. So it's kind of like if they had grenades as well, it would be, and they're shooting as they turn around to face you. So if you had any other NPCs, they would kill a whole room. Can you imagine if they popped like
all their teammates?
Or do you know, like any of you play Portal, where they get the automatic robots start shooting and everything? You imagine that it's like you shoot one, and then he turns around, and as he's firing, he hits all the others, and they all start automatically firing. The whole room just becomes like.
I hope
someone's going to get
like this. I hope they introduce AI like that, and then we get to just walk into.
We get to play for it with like a quarter.
Yeah,
like
just for a little while. Yeah, just so that we can see them.
Just so we can have some goofiness in our life.
People are going to move them around, the AI, so they can get them into position, and then have 1-2 of their mates
like a domino system,
shoot them, and then film them mowing down.
I mean, they probably didn't
my
want to show that off in this video, but if I was the one doing this test and this happened, I would definitely have filled the room with loads of AI just to see them shoot each other like fuck.
Yeah, it's like
Do you know when the
what
doors
Texas-
close and then they open back up again and there's just dead bodies all over the floor? It's just-
Like someone tossed a grenade in there, just everybody's dead.
It's literally like what Tech's saying there about someone napping, and it's like imagine the boss has come and just tapped on the shoulder and said, "Are you?" And they're like, "Fuck! Wait, it's all good."
Blown his head off. With
Yeah, I'm aware. What?
Whoops.
I can't believe it.
It was
Imagine the
funny.
railgun.
It was funny.
The guy's got a railgun.
Put it down. I found
Going
it quite
up.
interesting though, because they did say that one of the reasons why all this is not working is because it's on an FPS level in a way that is rotating. It's partly because the planets that have a rotation that are causing a load of the fuck ups with stuff, because usually it's a static environment.
Oh my god, yes, the fucking planet's rotating. It's never been a fucking issue ever before. Like I remember trying to put a box into the Cutlass on a planet once, and it's just like killed me instantly. It's just like, okay.
It's not like your ship keeps spinning every time. It's like the amount of times you try to get back into your ship and it just slices your head. You're dead. It's like, come on.
I think that's what happens to the guns, because every time I drop the fucking gun, every time I load into a game, immediately throw the gun, it just disappears and just vanishes.
Yeah.
It's just like,
It's so funny watching Madness's stream. Every time he goes to get in the ship, the pistol's like, I don't want that anymore. And it's like,
I put that fucking thing away. Anytime I'm gonna click on something, that thing just goes into my holster. Like, just nope. I actually have a clip recently of me like in a Mustang, and I'm at the drug lab. I'm like, I'm gonna go and pick up this one box or fuck someone up inside the drug lab. I'm like, good thing I have a gun, and I just dropped the fucking thing. As soon as I say that,
You're in trouble now. You are in trouble now. Oh, fuck.
yeah, exactly. That was the exact scenario. You're in trouble now. Fuck.
what's up, Crucian Gaming and all your Crucian friends? Bro,
thank you
how
so much for the
doing?
raid, guys.
Thanks for the-
Really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, it's just sorry, I just had to stop it.
Welcome to the mad.
Redacted for the win.
A
Hey, by the
policeman,
way, for anyone that's
a
joined,
policeman
Moist
just-
is in an airport at the moment. Is the cop come over and that's what you're doing?
policeman just looks so suspiciously at me with like, oh my god.
That's why you're not talking much and just sort of keeping your
Charlie
head down.
24/7, 246. Who are
What's
you
he
really
doing?
talking to?
Just don't
You
start
do look like-
chanting.
You look like an anarchist.
To the
Don't
window.
don't try the Lion King song.
Go for it.
No.
Really fucking
Just
awkward.
hold up a package in front of you and start singing the line.
Don't hold any packages up of any kind.
Hi,
Just don't. It's just terrible advice. Terrible advice. Welcome everyone. Anyway, we've been like this. We're not even drunk. None of us has anyone actually been drinking booze this evening? This is the podcast. We don't
I
actually,
drank last night.
Alcoholic water.
yeah, we are that nuts. We don't actually.
Like I have 100 proof Smirnoff sitting next to me, but I'm saving that for later tonight when I'm playing Metro.
I have salt.
and he's got
Salt.
salt. And Mac's probably the only one I think has had a beer.
Yeah,
So yeah, where were we? So we were
Something-
discussing
Planetary AI being bad.
AI. That was
Yes.
it. The AI. Yeah, the AI. Yes, it wasn't good, but it was nice to see
I
because
can't wait.
they've shown us AI before. And then
I
they
can't
showed
wait
us
to get them
this.
actually in though, because like I was saying to Mac, I think that with the obviously what we got at the moment, the server limits of like 60 or whatever it keeps changing to, but you don't necessarily see people a lot of the time. And I'm presuming that if they can manage to get the AI working out, then it won't count towards the player cap so much. So it'll be nice to actually you will be able to actually set up ambush stations at outposts and shipwrecks and things like that. They'll be able to put pirate NPCs, so you'll actually get some FPS ground stuff, that's going to make a massive difference. Because also then because like with the big server and not seeing people, you don't, even if you wanted to fight, it has to be more pre-arranged. Whereas this, you'll actually just get fights constantly if you just go to different stations, or if you want to try and do that drug run, for example, you'd have to then fight that out, which would be pretty cool.
For me, I think there's a few mechanics that I would love to see come in. There's this one with the AI, but I definitely want to have the ability to. I want them to get rid of the no shooting zones on stations. Generally, some of these big stations, I want them to get rid of them and rely on turrets that work well and destroy things out of the sky and security. And I also want them to be able to have the mechanics in for us to steal people's goods and sell it to make money, because what that does is that enables the more combative type of players. Because I could just imagine if you have heavy armor, I hope you have like the full flat jackets. You can roll up in your cutlass, drop that bit out the back, and then 6 of your mates drop out the back with full on machine guns, RPGs, rockets, whatever. Storm Port Olisar, try and shred everything, try and steal as much as they can. Deal with the
He's in a very destructive mood tonight.
Deal with all the NPCs or whatever else. Steal as much stuff. Get it, load it back up into the cutlass, and try and just get away. In my head, I just imagine this awesome kind of like Grand Theft Auto scenario where like shit's blowing up and people are just rolling.
I just want to be able to throw a grenade into the trading room at Grim Hex. Just
awesome.
Just all the easy habs because everybody keeps waking up in them.
No. I want to, like.
No, what you want to do is like just
so good.
Lock a pin to the door. So when the door, grenade. So when it pulls the pin out and then.
Yeah.
Like
is that police officer still looking at you?
Yeah. You've got to really think about what you're saying in that.
There's all the grenades and doors.
You haven't even got in through security yet. Shut up.
Mate, what are you trying to do? Like, you're never going home at this rate.
I can expect a spot rate coming up.
What happened to you on the weekend with the rubber glove will be happening again very soon, so just be careful.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Wow.
I hope they have an extradition treaty down there. Hope the embassy.
Can we move on?
I mean, Prague didn't even want you to bring the battery through the security, so I don't know what they're going to do about you and your grenades as you try and rig them to the doors.
Have you ever seen Mr. Robot with his skateboard and all that sort of stuff? Does he have a skateboard? Couldn't have a skateboard.
So yeah, I mean, I love that, and the idea that players can get together and like people can hold down bases for a period of time, and you have you have security coming, and I love that. That's me. I mean, I'm a combative.
I agree. I do like the idea of landing zones not having just an automated. You cannot bring out a weapon because I like the idea of someone in the streets just being like, "Fuck it, boom, boom," and then like the security forces coming in and taking them out. Yeah. It's just that sort of dilemma of. Lives are very important, and we only get so many of them. If you're stood somewhere and they go headshot because you pissed them off, they're just bored. That is going to be really annoying.
That is the challenge, and we don't want to get in a situation as well because at the moment the problem with that we still face is land weapons or like handheld weapons still don't do the damage to the ships to be able to deter anyone from what we would call pad camping. You know what I mean? That's the so if the turrets don't work,
useless. The railgun's useless at anything. Like a Mustang can be above you, and then you're dead. It just kills you. Like I'm
hoping the RPG that there potentially is like a full-on will be like a size 9 torpedo, just like
with the auto lock on.
I think it kind of makes sense that they can, like certain landing zones, like Artcore, have the money and the technology to intercept your ship systems and stop the weapons from happening. But then you kind of think, well, why don't they just do that in space? It kind of like stopping a physical person from bringing out a weapon is different to stopping a ship from firing a weapon that uses electrics and power and so forth. So I can see they're stopping ships from firing in landing zones, but stopping a player from bringing out a weapon, or even maybe if they even had like a sort of a method of smuggling in weapons. So maybe they take the weapons off you at a landing zone, but you're still able to get like a Glock in or what, like the equivalent.
Oh my God! Now we're talking about smuggling weapons into secured areas.
As long as what are your thoughts on this?
Why still want to hear thoughts?
You're being very quiet there.
Best way to smuggle goods through security.
In particular, firearms.
Name a couple the easiest one that you think would be to smuggle.
And how would you bring a bomb in? Would you attach it to the bottom of a skateboard?
How would you take what's going to be happening very soon?
And call it a battery.
How do you take down flying ships? How do you take down flying vehicles?
He would lob his skateboard bomb at it, wouldn't he? Take that, you bitch!
But I agree. Like armistice zones, I think are going to be necessary for some areas because otherwise, like we have to. Let's go talk about EVE Online, where they have what was the Goon Gankfest or whatever the fuck that is, where they go to high sec and they just fucking wreck Care Bears. And like they don't fucking care if they die. They're just here to mine salts and tears.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I said a while back when they were showing
terrible.
off the whole like assassination mechanic, where you can just go up behind someone, literally one button, stab, and it would kill them. And I was saying, like, because people going, well, when you're not supposed to have all this security everywhere, and I was like, well, that's too much to the griefers thing, because they're just going to be out, like, if you're just in a shopping place where it's just full of loads of people for no reason, this person's going to come and stab you, and people's arguments, well, security will come and stop them. But you'll get people that don't give a shit whether they die. They just want to kill as many people as they can before they get killed.
They'll just sign up a new account.
Yeah,
they'll sign up a new account. They'll be on the
Or-
landing zone right next to you, stab you. Boop, oh, just, I don't fucking care. $45 is nothing to me.
VoIP with a very loud laugh. Sucker, or it's
Exactly.
you will get a degree of it, but you gotta. I guess you have to kind of imagine the type of game players that we have at the moment are generally, I would say, on the whole, pretty mature and generally of an older age. It'll be interesting as the game develops, as it goes more and more of the mechanics come in. Will we see more of a younger, less mature gamer base start to join the game? Do you know what I mean?
I think it's inevitable.
Less mature. Like, I promised to grow old, not up.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like,
I honestly think we will see a lot, as soon as, because this game is going to be something that will explode onto the scene when it's finally finished, and people will see it. They'll see the parts, even though it's a big learning curve, so kids will struggle with it. And this goes to another point about making it fucking child friendly. No,
Please don't.
No.
Yeah, what the? I want to be able to drink.
They got
and
Fortnite.
shit around.
Yeah, they got
They
Fortnite.
can talk to people on there. So I think we will get a lot of more of a younger audience eventually. The reason why it's an older audience at the moment is because it's from the
That's who has the money. Like, you think kids got credit cards?
well, it's because the people that have wanted this sort of game wanted it back in the Star Wars days. They wanted it in the Star Trek days. They followed Chris Roberts from the early days. And now they are obviously mature enough. They're doing good jobs. A lot of people say that they actually became engineers, like rocket scientists or whatever, whatever job it involves, because of
one of them rocket
sci-fi.
thingamajiggers that
They science rockets, and because of that, that's why we have a mature audience. We will see the average gamer come in more and more. They may not like it, which means they will start trolling more, but
we might get less though with it not being on console. That might help us a bit.
yeah, definitely. But there are still young PC
Oh yeah, I'm not
gamers.
saying we're not going to get any. You can't avoid it. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got Grand Theft Auto, which is 18, and like Madison, I think was it last podcast we were discussing it, and you see them in the shop. These little kids get, I got Grand Theft Auto, clearly with the 18 badge on it, and then the parents go, okay, we'll buy that for you. So it's there's like a limit to how much you're going to stop that anyway. But yeah, I just don't. I mean, this is slightly on last week's topic, but yeah, we don't want it. We don't want it kid friendly.
Don't want you.
Yeah.
I'm
I
looking
want
forward
to
to the
say
day.
fucking bugger.
Go play
I'm
Fortnite.
Yeah, go play Fortnite. I'm looking forward to the day when they add the melee takedowns, and you end up with two people. Like, here's my constellation. Here's the seat. Stab. Whoops, wrong button.
You know what though? I've been saying this for a while. They need to have a situation where an animation or some sort of mechanic where you can actually shoot and do damage from the seats.
Oh yeah.
You
agree.
need to be able to attack from the seats with a gun.
Seat immunity forever.
You need to be able to shoot.
It's
in
like
mid-
when your kids play a musical chairs. Just quick, someone's chasing you. Quick, sit on the seat. I'm safe. I'm safe. You can't get me.
Save.
I think the reason that we don't have that now is because they spoke about it on either an ATV or an RTV a couple of weeks ago. It's to do with animation blending.
Yeah.
So they need to be able to blend too.
They're
Because
waiting on the
they've got-
animation stuff.
They've got these complicated animations in some of these older ships, like the Constellations, which do that long-winded, slow motion turning.
Oh my
circle.
god, that fucking! I can feel myself dying every time I wait for that damn thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry,
So-
I'll just shoot myself. Don't worry.
Yeah, I know you want to be able to shoot from. I want to be able to shoot from my bed. So when you get those 5 people in the room with you, you can be the first person to shoot them. Like bang, bang, immediately pull your gun from your bed and shoot everyone in the room. I'm just violent generally. But moving
the
on,
only thing
'cause
I'm worried
I was-
about is like because if Madness like can't even get in his ship without throwing his pistol, how is he going to walk past you in the shopping centre part without stabbing you but doing a takedown by mistake? Oh, look at that jacket!
You just see me running. You just see me running away from security.
I was just going to buy a jacket.
It was an accident, I swear. Yeah.
I pressed the wrong button.
just running to the other side to the exit as fast as possible. Security chasing me. No,
Welcome aboard my ship. Take down.
But you do make a valid point, though. You do make a valid point, because I wouldn't be surprised if they make it the takedown the first thing on the list. So every time you try to buy something from the shopkeeper, you'll grab his head, smash it down, and like stab him 5 times in the head. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
I'm just imagining. There was this Let's Play of like one of the Telltale games, and it was in a bar, and he was like, one of the options was glass him. These two characters were talking, and the guy playing the game didn't know what he meant, didn't know what the option for glass him meant. And he just grabs the glass and he smashes it into his face. He's like, I thought I was pouring him another beer.
Do you know, it was like, I don't know if you know, but it was my father's 70th birthday last week, and we went to
happy birthday.
It's not my birthday.
No,
and he's not around.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday for it. Next time you see him, you can.
Thanks. I will. Oh, by the way, Dad, Madness says happy birthday.
Thank you.
What a conversation that's
He's
going to
been
be.
following me for weeks already. It's fine.
But we were in the restaurant, and Adam, my brother, ordered a beer, and it came with one of those tankards, those really big, thick glass tankards. And my dad says to the waitress, they were really good for smashing people over the head with. And we were like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Dad.
It's like, what? And then he went on, yeah, because they don't break, so you can keep. It's like, whoa, Dad, time and a place, mate. This is a family restaurant. Let's just kill it
down.
I think Moise could tell us all about glassing people.
Yes. Just poor old Moise. It's like, we talk about something else. I have a question for you guys, okay? And the question is if you can find a cool plot of land in the game, what do you think that spot of land will be there on release? So let's just say early access, or let's just say in beta. Do you think you'll still be able to find that piece of land when the game goes live?
Maybe. They moved the drug lab.
You wouldn't own it, but...
No, but I mean, if you could, do you think they won't? Yeah, okay.
Find it again.
You won't own it,
essentially.
Yeah, but you could find it again.
So are you on about the bit that you want to buy, or are you on about like the drug labs and things like that?
No, the bit that you want to buy. So I was just saying, if you wanted to buy,
yeah.
say you found a cool piece of, like, when we get to beta, we're going to be far further down the line. You're going to have
This rainforest looks like would make an excellent Vegas resort.
Yeah.
And they moved it. What?
And then they destroy it.
Where's my Vegas report?
I really believe that until the game releases, you're going to see the planets changing and moons changing constantly.
It's like
they're going to have to be rebuilding them.
It's like we've seen the textures change, which means the whole landscape changed. Whether or not in beta, that means that, whether or not you're going to be doing that in beta, I don't know really what alpha beta means exactly, but they could change the landscape again in beta. I don't know if that's something they would do, or if they would just if they keep getting new tech while the game's being built. I mean, hopefully not. They're going to keep updating stuff. But I would think that if you placed a land claim and it was a final land claim, then yes. But it depends if they're going to wipe those land claims. If you find the perfect piece of land and you're like, this is mine now, I'm happy about this, and then they're like, oh, we're wiping it, by the way.
I made this.
Yeah, I made this.
I think
past beta, I wouldn't hold your breath on being able to claim something past beta. Like
most games wipe after when it goes to final. So you go from beta to final. There's not many that carry on. They sometimes do an early access, so you start a few days before. But most games wipe. So I think this would be the same. However, I do think there will be a point when if you find a nice piece of land, it will stay like that even in beta to live, because like they just said about crafting the roads and things like that, there will be a point when everything's been randomly generated, at least on ones that we can access now, and it will have to stay that way, because otherwise all this thing that they're talking about, not being able to build the roads and everything else because of random generation, there's going to have to be a point where it's going to be set.
Well, so random generation.
Yeah, random. Like not all roads are going to be
generation.
Not all planets will have roads. I suspect a lot of like I can't imagine roads being on Cellin. Like I think Cellin's just going to have just outposts all over the place. But maybe on a more like Hertzton or something, we'll probably have roads between the major ports or
I suppose they could lock down a zone around an area so that other stuff was random, but not that area. But then I don't know. They might be too worried about it if they have plans. A kind of landscape towards these outposts, and then you random generate stuff. It could mess it all up. So I do think there's going to be a lockdown point.
Yeah, I
obviously,
agree
when they
too.
bring in a new planet or a new moon, that will all be randomly generated before it's released, type of thing. But yeah, I think there's going to be a lockdown point.
I don't know because, and the only reason I say that is Elite Dangerous. Elite Dangerous, even now, the planet's still changed. Like, don't get me wrong, the moons on Elite Dangerous are nowhere near as complicated. But I think even after release, because they'll always be working on this technology, they're not just going to stop working on the moon and planet tech. And every time they do work on it, they're going to have to rebuild the moons and planets. But what you'll find is where most of the moons and planets, the locations will be procedural, where you have on Hurston, what's the name of the main city?
Lorville.
Lorville. What they'll do is that particular part of the planet will be a static thing that doesn't change. So that's what I suspect will happen.
Yeah, I think like Zap said, they're all using seeds. I expect along with him. We're both expecting.
Speaking of expecting, I just had a little bit.
Woo!
Yay!
Maximus.
Carry on.
And I think that when it comes to launch, they will generate a seed, and then that will be the final seed for that planet, moon, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, they might upgrade the technology or the looks and effects, but I think by changing the land, that would be too difficult. Because if you've got, maybe on some and not others, but like if you've got buildings and stuff, it's like stopping, and especially if they, I don't know, maybe they could make it so it crafts around roads and everything's got, you know, like a boundary on it so that it can't spawn near the roads and things like that, which would protect
would
it. So I
love
suppose
to
they could
see.
potentially do that.
Talking of road, I would love to see, like you have your main landing zones, and then we can create our own, I don't know, like our own outposts, our own villages, our own farms and whatnot, and then attach them using a road system in some way, whether that's player-generated roads or if it's, you know, they think, oh, okay, well, there's a main hub there, let's attach it. I know they have said about villages and so forth, so surely there will be a natural path. And obviously in real life, the natural roads form because it's either a direct line or it's the most comfortable path. And you start to see over time these roads come in because people are traipsing on them. Yeah. It would be nice to see these natural roads be created in some way so that we do have full planets growing. Like imagine 10 years, 20 years down the line if Star Citizen's still going. It will. And you've got like...
or gets released.
Or gets released. Yeah, true. Like cities and villages all attached together, all spanning from Lorville. That would just be awesome. And they have the tech to do it. It's just a case of how, you know, are they going to, basically?
Yeah, I mean, they kind of... The way they said about the whole us not... Because you know what they said about the footsteps when we go on the planets and stuff and you walk, it leaves footprints and things like that. That's only going to last a certain amount of time. So I do wonder if it's that sort of thing, although it'd be cool. It's probably... unless they manage to develop technology later on, they're kind of going away from that, I think. Because they don't want... I think of all the rendering and everything else, it's like by having custom-made stuff because your foot keeps walking across a certain path would be too much data and everything else. I don't know. I mean, it'd be nice if they get to that, but I'm not sure.
That's it. It's like, is it too many assets to have a fucking whole road system over a full planet?
They're going to put a whole fucking city on a planet. That's hardcore.
That's right, it. Anytime we argue, we'll just say Artcore.
Artcore. We've got a couple of questions. Kraken Jr. says, do you think CRG will hop on the opportunity to add a fishing or hunting mechanic, game collection achievement in-game, as we have seen featured in other games? After all, the community has demonstrated they love collecting ships, LTI gun flares, etc.
Oh, they'll have achievements. I'm sure of it.
As in, what does it mean by, as in like just achievements, not hunting and fishing as a game mode?
I think he means it as a game mechanic, which then gives you achievements.
I just heard that.
I don't know.
Yeah, Chris Robertson said he wants achievements, but not sort of similar to PlayStation trophies, I think he said, but more not as in the such as. In fact, no, sorry, he said he doesn't want to have it as in like you do something and now you suddenly have an achievement that only you can see. He says achievements and trophies will be collecting things from different locations and planets and then displaying them.
Gotta catch them items. All.
Pokemon.
Pokedex, that's what we need. We need a Pokedex for achievements.
Pokedex for for naming an animals. Like what was the other game that had the ability to name animals you discovered? No Man's Sky.
No, I haven't heard of that one. I know that one. And then the other question was from Mr. Forbidden Tech. And he asked, do you think we will... I lost it now. He's put it in the chat. I've got to find it. There it is. Do you think we will all start in the same system on release? That's quite a good question.
They have
Maybe.
said there will be a select amount of planets and systems on release, apparently. So the idea is you get to choose from maybe a handful of planets that is your main...
They've said they've had about 10 systems at launch. I know these are like where you start from. So I think Earth will have like 3 or 4 or 5 landing zones, custom tailor-made, and I'm not entirely sure. You may be able to start like in Stanton still on All-Star, but I expect a lot of people will start in the same place.
Yeah.
You're not going to have much selection at launch.
No, it's going to be a case of...
But I don't know.
Well, it's like what Vertigo says. There's going to be like maybe 10. Is that what they said then? 10.
But that's quite a lot of selection. If it's a system, 10. That's quite far. Could potentially be quite far apart.
10 systems. Do you think they would Do you think they would give that at launch? That's a lot of fucking systems to create. I think that's like
planet.
It's like most things, isn't it? Like when they first think about it, they're like, well, 3.0 was supposed to be the whole of Stanton, and then they thought, fuck, this is going to take a while. So
yeah,
we'll just do
I think like. Maybe there'll be 3 or 4 systems.
And people walked back. They actually CIG walked back from the 100 systems they wanted to do for launch to 10. I think
you just dropped the baby.
I was about to say that wasn't the baby, was it?
Oops. Wife, we need another one.
No baby. Thank God.
Ash Angel made a good point, Moist. Like, with all this talk about bombs and stuff, like, where is your moustache for your disguise? I think you should put one on.
That would be
the policeman there really wouldn't look at you anymore if you put a moustache on.
There you go.
I have a question for everybody. If you could design, I don't know if you've already talked to, you might have talked about it. If you could design your own hangar with any theme for fun, firstly, this is the first part of it, what would you do? And if you had to do one for in the game, what would you do?
Western. I've been watching Westworld and I really want Western themes. And Red Dead Redemption. Who?
Gay club.
Gay club. That's fair.
The amazing.
Gay club in your hangar. Gay club in your hangar.
Oh, hell yes. Oh, Mark, are you going to the Hornet for me? Oh, get to it, big boy.
Super camp. Super camp.
Oh, my God.
All the staff would be super gay as well, right? Is that what you're saying? Like overtly over the top, or would you keep it kind of subtle?
Tweets everywhere,
full chaps.
You have leather and all sorts of stuff going on.
Gold hot pants. A lot.
Gimp dungeons.
Firemen, hoses.
Firemen hoses.
Firemen with hoses. YMCA written all over the wall. Like, just constantly being played. Got you. Vertigo. If you could do the same, what would you have? If you could have, good.
I would maybe
have any hanger.
I have any hanger.
Any style, maybe fun and serious.
Maybe like a gun store or something, because America.
American gun store. Welcome to my hangar.
What could possibly go wrong with that?
Just massive white supremacist flag right over the front.
Oh, fuck you, mate.
Let's not go there.
Great idea. Great idea, that one.
Views expressed on this podcast do not in any way link to the asylum or anything to do with me.
We are affiliated with CIG. We're all CIG employees.
Yeah, we'll work for CIG. It's officially go.
Wow.
Miss, what would you?
I think some people said it in chat as well. Steampunk. Go with my top hat.
Steampunk.
Steampunk bar. I'd have like a nice bar, steampunk themed bar.
Yeah. Get a nice little Blade Runner motif for mine as well.
Goggles.
Get that neon stripper pole from what was it, Echo 11?
Hey,
that's
you've never seen the stripper pole.
I've never gone to the strip club in Echo 11. What the hell?
Yeah, it's only on the elimination map you have access to it. There's a stripper pole, handcuffs, discarded beer cans all over the place. Got some clothing on the floor. Never been there.
Just like my hangar.
There you go.
Bedroom, isn't it? Go on, Miz. What's yours?
I think I would probably. I don't know. I'm kind of torn because a part of me, I love the idea, like from Guardians of the Galaxy. The collector. He has kind of like this mad kind of place which is just full of just like a massive assortment of kind of like random kind of cool things. And there's a streamer called Casey. I can't remember the one who did the boosted board that Moist uses as well. I forget his name, Casey. He's got like kind of an awesome studio which is like tools and all sorts of things which he kind of his kind of
his inspiration for that was what's the movie with the boy who's a chav that becomes a spy?
Yeah. Secret
The Room.
Service, Kingsman.
Yes.
Kingsman, right?
Oh,
The
Kingsman
room that they walk into with the armory, that was his inspiration for that room.
Was it? Oh, see, that's cool. Like that, I would, if I could have like a room, I think that would be, I would love that. Or yeah, it would be cool actually to do that too. There's that, the kind of the mad kind of one with all the kind of the collector stuff, but then the other one would be like a couple, like a 007 spy where everything looks really clean and thing, and then you press a few buttons and then everything kind of like flips around and he's got like a globe in the middle, and then maybe M could be on the front door. You put your stick on it, kind of thing.
I thought you would just have a padded cell, to be honest.
Oh, or the Continental from John Wick.
There you go.
Hell, that would be quite good too. Well,
What about a giant bouncy castle inside one though?
Giant bouncy castle, great with the kids.
Amazing.
For the win.
Fuck the kids, they ain't coming.
No, fuck the kids.
This is
Massive
just
one,
me.
planet size. Planet size bouncy castles.
I'm so glad Boy Stoodle's wearing headphones. Fuck the kids.
Talking of hangers though, didn't they actually have you got that footage of the noise of the door, the hangar door opening? Because that thing
that was so
awesome.
cool. Did you see the
Can we do the troll one instead?
The guy singing in the background.
Can we just do the troll one? That one's
Link
that
me
one's
the troll
I
one.
haven't
And I'll
seen
do the
that
troll
one.
It's in the
troll
it's the
was
5v one. It's in the 5
When it slowly opens and some dude singing or something. I don't know.
Oh man, I watched that on Around the Verse, and I was just like, I'm watching that on Around the Verse, and I can feel myself dying. I'm having flashbacks of the constellation
so good.
running around. It's just like, no.
I just was getting flashbacks of just sitting there waiting for it to slowly open every time. I want to get out of my fucking
See,
hand.
that's the thing. It's like
great the first time, but now I'm bored. Speed it up.
yeah, if you're like my original thought is, oh, this is gonna be so cool, fixing up a ship, getting it all loaded, and like, right guys, see you later, and it opens up. But yeah, if that's like now, you're in a bit of a hurry. Your friend's dying somewhere. Like, oh.
Yeah, hang on. I'll be there in a minute. I'm coming in a second. Or if you do too fast, if you take off too fast, you rip both your wings off as you go out because it's not fully come out yet. Fucking hell. Land again, repair, do it again, the doors close again, then you have to do it again.
Who's pressing the button too much?
It's like an Austin Powers sketch, really, is what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
There we go.
Oh. But it did. I love the atmospheres now with the hangars, and that's why I asked the question. Because the hangars are really going to be. If you could personalize your hangars more like your ships, so exciting.
I think for me, just seeing seeing drones in there and NPCs in there, that'll be such a huge thing.
Here's a question. Those drones, those sleds, and those sort of things, do you think at any point they will be player maneuverable, or do you think they are just
I
placeholders?
fucking
They've already
hope
said,
so.
they've already said play. Whenever they call them props,
Yeah.
you'll never be able to use them as a play. They've already said that.
No.
But we've seen in that CitizenCon demo,
They always
the
say
Squadron 42 demo, where they found those mining vehicles and it had a power plant in them. Do you think those are props, or do you think they will eventually be vehicles?
What do you mean, like power plant that they were able to remove?
Yeah, did you see?
Well, it probably would be a prop that you can remove items
a
from.
power
I would
plant,
imagine.
yeah. Damn it, you've
Damn it.
ruined my
I think they always reserve the right to change their mind. Is the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because they call it a prop now doesn't mean it can't become a vehicle in the future. I mean, anti-gravity sled sumo wrestling, that sounds like a great idea. Hopefully the few's watching.
With
No,
a
he's
bouncy
streaming
castle.
right now.
With
In
the
a bouncy castle, yeah.
Oh my god, the
But
fun.
you don't really
Okay.
need the bouncy castle if you can just like change the gravity in your hangar so that you can just bounce off the floor then.
Yeah, to be fair, I just want the visuals of the bouncy castle just to add to the immersion. It does. I know we can probably do that already, right, with the graph lifts.
Yes.
Kind of like a bouncy castle. But I need to have the visuals that I'm actually on a bouncy castle to make it really feel 100%.
I want my my basketball hoop.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the
Curious
Javelin has a
They got it in Hellion.
Could you imagine that?
In Hellion, there is a basketball hoop, and you
Well,
can...
that was one of the
No.
was it reverse? Did they call it reverse when they were doing the live stuff, like live modeling and stuff?
Burn down and things like that.
No. I mean,
Yeah.
when they had an artist on and they were designing things on stream. Anyway,
that's what it was.
that was one of the things that they did. They implemented
Yeah.
a basketball mechanic, and they were actually throwing the basketball through the hoop and shit. It was really fun to watch, I thought.
Does anybody remember that really
Thank
crappy
you.
one a long time ago where they had the gray cat jumps through the flaming hoops with they had some guy making the noises for it?
Oh yeah.
They do quite a lot of. There's a lot of these. I mean, if anyone's new to streaming, I always tell. Oh, not streaming, sorry. Anyone's new to Star Citizen, and I kind of tell them to go like, go follow YouTube, go check out the Star Citizens channel. They always I go with myself every now and again just to check to see, and I go, oh my god, you could be here for months just trying to get through all of the content, just to try and catch up even remotely, like what's going on.
It would be so much easier, wouldn't it, if someone did like a weekly video of just getting all the information and just putting it into one precise, quick video.
It's a shame
every
no
week.
one does that.
Every Sunday or Thursday or whenever they can get it out.
I wonder if they get any free ships for doing that.
I look every Sunday and nothing
They
comes.
shouldn't they? They really
There's
should.
nothing out. There's nothing. Actually, they should get somebody that does like a really, really like minimal amount, like in like 5 minutes or something. Really cuts it back down. Actually, that person could do like the whole year's worth and sum it up in like one video.
In 2 minutes.
In 20
The
minutes.
no bullshit version of all the content.
All the content. That would be what we need.
The lifespan of Star Citizen in 3 hours and 42 seconds.
That's what we need.
That
right?
would be
That's
a
what we
great
need.
video.
Okay, I have another thing I wanted to show you guys, which was I've never seen this before. Now there'll be obviously back. This is what I'm talking about, like in terms of content. To go back through all the videos in 5 years is quite tricky. But every now and again, this is the great thing about Reddit. Somebody brings up a video or a clip that I've never seen before, or a bit of information. Never saw the harvesters on the Vandal before. And the coolest one that I've seen recently is this one, which is I'd never seen their original pitch or original graphics for the. I think these are the jump points. The animation, the first kind of like how they're going to do it. Now, if you've never seen this, and I always think that maybe some people I knew who will have never seen this video, this is fucking cool. Like I saw this and I was blown away by this.
The thing is that this is so old that don't even expect it to look anything like that anymore, because we've not heard anything about jump gates. I'll show it, but I don't.
But
it is cool, but I don't think we're going to get it.
And that was my point. That was where I was going to come to. I was going to come to it saying, this looks really cool then. Yeah. And I was going to say, this looked really cool then. And I'm wondering, how would you do the same? Would you just dial up more with the visuals, with what they've shown us, with all these new quantum jumps for aliens and the way it all kind of changes color and stuff? You know, would you stick with this? Would you change it up completely again? You know, what would you, maybe you didn't like this. Maybe you wanted a different way of traveling. You know, what's your thoughts? So if you haven't seen this, this is freaking awesome.
Oh yeah,
I like the idea, and I like the idea of the mechanics. So it's essentially you have to pick the right path and go down the right tunnel. And if you don't go down the right tunnel, then you might end up somewhere completely different. You know, so the idea I really, really like. The visuals, like I'm sure we'll get something similar, but much higher fidelity than what we're seeing there on that video, because this is incredibly old now.
It still looks great, though, in my opinion.
My problem with it is you end up with like an on-rail shooter where you're just traveling forward and you just need to avoid the things and pick the right path. Like it's a very simplistic mechanic, like what we're seeing here.
Well, I don't know. I think you'll still probably be able to stop. You'll just end up somewhere freaking random. If you try to stop your ship, it'll just pull you out of it or throw you down a route that you don't intend to go to. But
I figure
when they first sort of mentioned it, they said that you'd need to you wouldn't be able to stop, turn around, and blah blah blah, but you'd be able to maneuver yourself up, down, left, right, and sort of get through the sort of slalom. But most times your nav computer, if it's the first time that you've ever flown it and no one's sold the rights to know the path, then you'll have to navigate it yourself. In a Gladius, it's not really a pathfinder, so it would just be, it was already on the computer, it knows the exact route it needs to take, it would do it. But there will be, I don't know what their intentions are at the moment, because like you say, this was 2014, maybe even 2013 when they showed that.
Pretty old.
Yeah. And it could be a case that it's really progress from there, or they could just be like, well, we're nowhere near yet, so let's hang on.
I doubt very much they've even started working on this.
Yeah, I don't think they have, because we haven't had the systems.
No.
So.
They showed that, and it was like, there's
not much point them working on it when the teams who would be working on it have other priorities that are needed right now. You know?
Exactly. Why waste the time on that? But it does look cool though, and it does show their vision on how they expect it, because the visuals of it will still remain pretty much the same, if not better. Because that's the vision of Chris. That's what's his.
Good luck doing those tight turns in a staff era.
Yeah.
No! Imagine just bouncing off the edges of the jump gate all the way through.
I knew I should have installed that jump button.
Like a pinball.
It's true. It's true. Like, how are you going to do that with a carrot? You know? Or
yeah,
like
just ride the sides. Just break everything off.
What was that?
Come out missing half your ship.
Warp game or something where you used to race. Oh, Wipeout. Reminds me a little bit.
Yeah,
Wipeout.
Like yeah, just ride the edges of the track.
But no, I really hope that they I like the fact that they're thinking about making it much more exciting and interesting. Because it could be just boring as fuck. They could just make you just jump to a location. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, it could just be like, just like we do now. Just go, woo, jump.
That's how they did it in Wing Commander Privateer. It's just you flew into this giant fuzzy ball, blue ball, and you press jump, and then you had this cutscene, and then you're in the next system. Done.
Yeah.
It makes you think though. If you're jumping for quantum jumping for 8 minutes, it's going to be quicker than that, even though you're going a longer distance, isn't it? But it still should be a certain amount of time that allows you to at least run to the other end of your Karak, hit the wall, and then run back again.
Yeah. Can you imagine how it? Can you imagine as well? Like, do you think like? I mean, again, this is slightly. I know we're going to kind of crazy now, but do you think that you will have, say, for example, some of the big ships which you employ with NPCs? You'll need to have proficient NPCs to be able to fly through these things better than. Do you know what I mean? To be able to get you to go through them if they're going to be challenging. Would you like them to be challenging? Would you like? Because I think if they're too boring and repetitive, it will drive people crazy.
They need to be. If it's the quantum mapping, sort of, if you're mapping it for the first time, it needs to be a challenging, entertaining, enthralling gameplay that you need to practice and learn and get good at.
Once you have got the location, do you think it should be an option
automatic
and you just to go straight to the location?
It's never good. I don't think it's ever going to be like a skip to suddenly, like, black fade to black and now you're there. But it'll be an automatic. Your nav computer will already know the map and the route it needs to take, and it'll take you through it. But
it'll take you through it.
Some jumps will need to be mapped consistently. Like some jumps
they would change as well, though. Like,
they're unstable, are the jumps, and it's not all of them. Some of them are like, that's it for the rest of the game now. But, a lot of them, the main routes, the main shipping lanes especially, are set in stone. But there are going to be some that are very, like shortcuts, for example. They'll be very unstable and need to be mapped on a regular basis so that the information can then be sold to the UE that you can download for your nav computer, and you'll then have the information and you'll be able to get through. But they will need to be mapped initially. And they also said there are going to be ones that we don't know about yet that you may come across. If you're actively engaging in that sort of gameplay, you'll find them and you'll map them.
Do you think you'll be forced to fly at a certain speed?
I reckon. See, this is the thing. I don't think there's going to be a chance of. I think you'll have like a sort of suppress the speed and increase the speed, but you'll have a
always
set
going to
speed
be moving.
Because you're going to be sucked through it. It's not.
That's
a
what
case
I meant.
of...
It's kind of you're forced to go through it. You can't just go. Well, I'm going through this at one, just plobbing through it because it's got to go fast enough to activate it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, I need a shit. Let's just stop here for 5 minutes while I go and have a shit and then come back and continue on. You're going to be a constant speed.
And then you see all these ships lined up behind you in a fucking traffic jam.
What's going on?
Nice.
Have we got the footage for the other sounds for the gunfire?
I don't know if I've got the sounds for it, but I'll do that in a second. While I have a quick look. Someone else asked a question, I missed it by mistake. Not a True Gamer asks, what do you guys think about the ancient smithing debate on whether or not players should be able to spawn into a friend's bed? To anyone that's ever played PlanetSide 2, it sounds an awful lot like redeploying, which was implemented for the same reason, yet also ruined logistics.
It's also very, very similar to the way that hologram work in Elite Dangerous. If you want to crew a ship with somebody, your friend can jump into your ship and they appear as a hologram next to you. And while I can see how in lore that works, I just don't like the idea of it personally.
If you logged out in the ship, if you can log out in the ship, like I don't see why you can't log back into it.
No, that's because you log in and out. They're on about if you've got an empty. So say I'm out in the middle of space and it was only been me that took my ship out, but I've got 2 beds. One of them's mine, one's spares. Your friend can choose to log in on your ship.
You see, this
it kind of ruins.
That's on the ship.
It kind of ruins part of the point of traveling. Like I like the idea of traveling to pick somebody up. You know,
there's mixed views on this, and I can see both parts of the argument. You know, it's the case of like, well, I want to really play with my friend, but he's like 4 systems away. It'll take me 3 hours, which is the amount of time I have to play the game in itself, just to get to his location, let alone actually playing the game of whatever we want to do together. It's kind of like that shortcut to allow you to instantly be with your friends and play. Okay. But the NPC idea that they said kind of makes it work, where they say you can, if they hire an NPC wherever they are, you can then take control of that NPC. But
are you taking control of that NPC, or are you meant to be you just taking their place?
Sorry, it's you in their place, but you won't get any benefits to that job you've just been on because the NPC still needs to be paid. It's a real fucked up situation that I'm hoping they will come up with an idea that works well.
Or they can just do it like they have it now, where you just wake up in bed and then your friend has to come pick you up. 3 hours travel time.
Tough shit. The way I look at it is I played Conan last night, and I jumped into the game, and Asnog was there, and he didn't know where I was, and we kind of roughly got to a location where he knew where I was, and he came and he ran over and he picked me up, and I spent my entire game listening to him to explain the game as I ran over to where the base of the team was. And then I set myself up now to play with my team in that area of space, and that's it. That's my gameplay. At the end of the day, that's just it. That's just the tough shit you have to play in the area.
There is that, but then, so on the flip side of that, we did actually have quite an interesting conversation almost about this, which is about traveling and stuff. And within Conan is a much smaller map, so that's slightly different. It took them, an evening, which wasn't a lot. And then on top of that, and this was what's funny, because it's not just this, we're talking about other games when we was playing Conan, but so for example, Conan has a map room. Now once you unlock certain points, and you can then bind your wrist to different obelisks, and then you can, you have to grind it and make it and everything else, but you can then teleport to certain locations using this obelisk system, which is fast travel. And while we were discussing this as well, someone was mentioning about EverQuest 2, things like that, whereas not everybody could fast travel, but Wizards could have a port system which then opened up a portal and you could go through. And the funny thing is, they were turning around saying, these were people that play Star Citizen that we were playing with Conan with, and most people, if you ask them, they would probably agree that they think that the long travel time is best. However, every single one of them said they were making a fortune because people were paying them to open up portals and to port them from point A to B, and they said they were making millions and millions because of it. And I do think that, I agree. I'm one more in the fact that you travel to the place and meet people, because I think games like Guild Wars 2 you can port anywhere. It kind of takes away a bit of that whole immersion almost. However, every single game I've played, there always seems to be some form of quick travel, and people after a while do seem to always want to do the quick travel. And
What about random wormholes that change and people have to map them out every day or whatever, that will take you to different that can enable you to speed travel to locations. So for that day, there'll be a web, they build up a place. So it changes, it moves around, but that wormhole will then take you to the other side.
You can map a wormhole with a destination if you're choosing, and then you can just sell that to people in that system. Like you want to go from Stanton to the other side of the galaxy, you just set your character to find a wormhole like that, and suddenly, I found one, and then you sell it on the open network. That could be.
Resets. I mean, I just think in my head, the wormhole option, the ability to have random location spawns, or people have a career that can make them or map them or whatever, and it changes. It doesn't stay constant, so it keeps moving.
For me, whenever I've never liked quick travel systems in games. Like even in the Elder Scrolls games or Fallout, whatever. I start playing it and I'm in love with the map, And then the moment I remember there's a quick travel system, like I just get pulled out of the game straight away. And yeah, like you're quick traveling and you have this beautiful map you can travel across, but you're not. You're choosing to just quick travel.
You just appear.
I
know we're talking about space now, so you don't necessarily have that sort of, but it's still taking away that sense of scale.
I immediately mod in a way of stopping or turning off fast travel on Fallout, on Elder Scrolls, but I often find I don't want to play it. I load in the game and I think, oh, I'm here again, and it's going to take me another like half an hour to just set up my equipment and get. And the problem is, I'm the first to mod it out, but I'm also kind of. It's like you can say, well, people don't have to use it, but if it's available, you will use it, and you will resent yourself for using it, but still fucking use it. It's like a bane of the gamer's mind. You don't want it there, but when it's there, you think, well,
just this one time.
Well, I like it. I mean, I've always liked. I mean, I play Witcher 3. It's never really. It's sometimes it feels like it could ruin the immersion of the location, but sometimes there are places where I just want to. I've got to go from this part of the map to this part of the map, and I want to do this.
It's a very difficult one.
I want to get there. But if it's just close, like from here to here, I'll pop the horse and I'll just go for a little chug on the horse, and I'm there, and I enjoy it, and I get the sword out, and I slash a few.
Here's a throwback. Here's a throwback to an old game. Anybody remember a game called Star Control 2? They had a fast travel within a fast travel system. They had what was called a hyperspace system, which would take you across the universe. But the universe was huge, massive space. That to travel from one side to the other was like 10 minutes, which was a lot of time for this game. So they had a second fast travel system, which would take you into the small, little condensed space, and then you had points you can pick to, which would drop you out would drop you out inside hyperspace. That would get you closer to your goals. I think Star Citizen can do something like that, or maybe you map a random wormhole that drops you. Yeah,
close-ish.
It drops you out somewhere nearby your destination, but not exactly at your destination.
But as long as it doesn't feel like it's game-breaking, unimmersive, or out of context, then yeah, I don't see why they can't put in like maybe a certain transport ship that only manages to reach those speeds because it's got the exclusive. It can only reach those speeds where other ships can't, and it takes you from A to B super fast. And they have these at all ports. You can go from that system to that system. That I think would kind of be kind of cool.
Yeah,
but it's a very difficult one on this. I think, especially because of the size of the solar system and everything. It's to put any form of fast travel will break immersion to a degree. Taking what they were talking about, which it was talked about a long time ago, that you would be able to join friends by taking, if they had AI on their ship, you could take their place. They did talk about that, but I can't see them doing that.
Don't like it.
I think overall, I think it needs to just be travel. But even if it takes time, it's like, well, I suppose you would have to plan ahead of time if you're going to group with people. But
think about combat.
There are downsides to both sides, though. It's definitely a difficult choice.
You'll have carrier ships just full of NPCs just flying next to ships, so that people can, if you're in a big fight, so people can just keep spawning back to the fight into these NPCs.
Well, it's going to give you a reason to have a fully stocked carrier, so that way people can just Agent Smith into it.
Yeah, and
like,
then
people are going to do that anyways.
Whoever's got the most NPCs on their ship could effectively.
Well, whoever has the most hardware on the ship is going to win the day.
And that kind of ruins the whole. You can't just instantly spawn back into the fight, because they can just spawn instantly back into the fight if that's the case.
They're only going to spawn onto that ship, so you're not like going to have loads of ships. It's just going to be a one ship.
You just have to smash all their ships.
What if that ship lands and then you have an army of NPCs running around and you spawn in with your friend? Yeah. That whole NPC battle on the ground is going to be people just spawning in and spawning, and then they die. I'll just spawn in on the other NPC that has not died. It's going to be an auto spawn, and it's not. I honestly do not see that work. Yeah, I don't see that working.
I can. It's respawning is in every other game. Why not Star Citizen? Like, you can respawn at the battlefield, but the number of respawns you have.
Supposed to die like other games.
I'll tell you why. I know. I'll tell you why. But the number of respawns you have is limited by the number of NPCs you bring. So the more NPCs you bring, the more respawns you have. Like,
Yeah, it's like more lives. It's like buying lives effectively, which is kind of it's a bit cheap.
Which is against what they've said is going to happen. They've said this, they don't want, like, at the very best, you're going to have an FPS battle near a hospital. Or they've even said the Endeavors are there as a floating hospital, as a floating kind of respawn location. Without the Endeavor, you're going to respawn at the nearest hospital or whatever, the last sort of big hub where you can respawn at. And then you'll have to travel your way to that location. They don't want people just constantly respawning after they die because it's no longer the game that they're intending it to be.
I mean, that would kind of get exploited, but I think there's a kind of two different differentiations here. That's the wrong word, but don't know. There's two things. There's fast travel because you want to get somewhere quickly, which I think they definitely don't want in the game. That wasn't the intent, apart from using jump gates and stuff. And then there's trying to group up with your friends so that you've got gameplay with friends. And I think it's the gameplay with friends is the bit which is why the Agent Smithing thing comes up. Is because that's what he wants to encourage you to be able to log on and group with your friends, but they definitely don't think they want the whole I just want fast travel because I'm too lazy to fly from point A to point B. So it's it's a little bit mixed on those things, really.
They have said, didn't they, that they want the fast traveling to not just, it's like, again, it's kind of helps with both arguments, or helps and hinders either argument. When you have to travel, which sort of stops people wanting to fast travel, there'll be interesting things happening on the way. You'll be intercepted, you'll bump into things. But if you're just literally wanting to get to your friend who is an hour away, all these interceptions that are creating new gameplay scenarios, you're going to be like, fuck, I don't want this. I just want to go. I think then there really needs to be... I personally don't want any fast travel form at all. But I feel like you're going to be blanket. It's a bit like the survival thing. Half the community wants survival, half the community doesn't. It's the same thing.
There's going to be fun. You know what, also with it is there's all different impacts of this. The way you change. If you make the model so you can do lots of fast travel, then potentially that means that orgs and groups and can dominate much more larger places of space because they can move around far quicker. If you make it so that orgs, if you make it so that individual orgs, you have to go back to a location every time you die or whatever, it makes it much harder, like in a real war situation, to get your resources to the fight. So it means you can't expand too great because you can't keep the resources going to that location. So if you move your organization into a new area of space, you'll dominate, take over, recruit them all, and then you move to the next place, like a kind of. Whereas if you could just, if you had lots of ability to jump to locations, you could just fucking go wherever you want.
I still like the idea of discovering using like a very specialized warp scanning, like jump hole scanning ship, just to find a jump hole that gets you near your location.
Yeah,
not exactly there, but near it.
I'm with that idea of having more worm, and it has to be changing. It has to be a mechanic where people can't camp a location because they think that's where the wormhole's going to be every time to open up. It's like,
and also
it gives people exploration.
I think you're all thinking a little bit too much on the whole death and respawn. I think the whole point is you're not meant to be dying in this game. There isn't meant to be a churn of war. Like your ship blows up, you're meant to come out in escape pods. People are meant to rescue you. You're really not meant to be 30 lives. Right, let's churn and keep fighting at it, because that would go completely against what this game's about. And that does worry me a little bit, is what is the survivability going to be in this game? Because realistically, from what they're saying, by having realistic deaths, you shouldn't be dying that often.
So I take a shotgun to the chest and I just pop back up on my feet.
I'm torn. Here's the thing: this is where I kind of this is a little bit of the kind of the the way CIG communicates information to the gamers. I think this is where you get this. It's a game for everybody, and we have lots of problems. Is because if you look at the adverts and the way they advertise it, it's masses of NPC combat, it's masses of PvP combat in the videos. We're blowing up pirates and people come to fight you and blowing up, and then it's the ship that you have is the precious part. Then it's suddenly the death of the spaceman, and then it's like a survival game. Then it's another game. Then it's this, and I feel like all of these have massive impacts on the way people imagine they're going to play the game. For me personally, when it came to the kind of the current combat system I had in 2.6.3, where we had FPS on Korea and we had like space fighting as well, it was awesome. The game, I felt more inclined to keep repeating the action over and over again because it wasn't such a long time to get back to the fight. It wasn't crazy length of time, but it was a bit of time. And there was just this drive of energy and excitement that I had every time I would spawn. And it made dying really, I didn't want to die. So I had to get really good. You know what I mean? I was like, I hated dying because I had to take me ages a while to get back.
They want to get it beyond that. They don't want it to be a kind of like they want to make sure that your life is precious, so that you think about your combat thoughts.
Isn't it for the ship though? First, that was the whole point.
No,
the idea is they don't want you to just blow your ship up.
No, the idea is that your life is far more the most precious thing. Like they said, kind of technically 9 lives until you lose that character, which you don't want to do. So that it slows combat down. They don't want to have a Call of Duty, a Battlefield, even a Fortnite or a PUBG scenario. They want people to really slow down the combat. This is why I don't think everyone's going to be suited to this game, because it's not going to be a case of you die, all right, well, I'll respawn here, I'll come back again. It'll take me about 30 minutes, but I'll at least get back into the... It's going to be a case of, if you lose your life, that's 1 of 9 gone.
That's the end of that battle.
9.
Yeah. It's almost like I'm not going back to that battle, I died.
And that is what we all wanted when it was first launched. And I still want that now. I don't want a game that is just rinse, repeat the same shit. Oh, that was a big mistake. I'll approach it this way.
Yeah. Your shields go down, you lose a wing on that Hornet. You're going to want to punch out or leave.
Yes.
Because the next thing that happens is you die. And that's going to put you out a good while.
Yeah. And that is the original concept for the health of the player, the life of the player, and that will dictate how everyone plays the game. The FPS, the space, flight combat. That's what will dictate it.
And as far as I'm aware, it's still confirmed, isn't it? Death of the Spaceman is literally the
it was literally on this calling all devs, so I don't know what they'll...
Yeah.
I have to watch this. It's just been released today. They're talking about it, so...
It will change slightly, but it'll still have the same impact. They don't want people to rush into combat. They want people to stop, to work together as a team. And like for now, we go into a combat and it's like, oh shit, I'm gonna die. Oh well, I'll just respawn.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be like Vertigo says. You lose a wing, you start seeing that you're losing. You're gonna be like, right, I'm gonna get out of here because this is the only way I'm gonna survive myself and repair my ship. Yeah. That is what we all want from this game. And that's why it's not going to be suited to a lot of people.
Here's my thing is that firstly, that is fantastic, and I really like the idea of it as well. It's a good idea. I think they have to make sure, and I mean they have to lock this game down tighter than even probably Project Red did with Witcher 3 in terms of the bugs and not killing people. Do you know what I mean? If you do that type of thing,
you just walk into your cutlass black
door. And I think that's my concern with the game. This is where I get worried about that idea. Is that the game is so big and so fast, and there are so many potential problems with glitches and bugs that can kill people at the moment. And I know we don't
have bugs in life. That's what I said.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And I worry. I'm just a little bit worried that I don't know if that type of thing. Unless they're going to have a complaints thing where you can log in, you can actively prove and say, "Hey, look, here's my code. Can I please get my life back for my character because I didn't die as my will."
You can. Well, in old games, you used to be able to leave a request on that if there was a bug that really did something like that. You can, I think, contact customer support and prove they've got logs. They'll know if you've got stuck.
But
they had game masters in EverQuest that they could pull your corpse out of a lava flow if you wanted to get your items back.
Yeah.
And we're coming 3 weeks later, it's approved, and you get your character back to play.
But we're coming from a point of where we know Star Citizen's at now.
No, I understand.
Still early development. I don't get me wrong. When the game is launched, there will likely be some bugs still. Fingers crossed, they're not the sort of bugs that are going to be like, I'm going to slip through the floor of my ship and now fall to my death, or suddenly get sucked under into the planet and die. Hopefully, things like that. I mean, obviously, doing these procedural planets, that's it's a good possibility. But yeah, they're. Obviously, waiting 3 weeks for your character to go through all this sort of system.
The rules get proved. I mean, this is just hypothetical stuff, and I wonder if they may just look at it, and it's like a kind of when insurance companies they look at the potential risk and the kind of to see if this is worth recalling the idea. I sometimes wonder if they will go look at this idea and go, maybe we need to recall this idea because in theory it may be just too much hassle with the size of the game, you know what I mean?
What we might get is potentially get a dumbed down version of Death of a Spaceman. So it won't be more of this permanent thing, but it might be a big penalty for the death.
Yeah, a big penalty to enforce.
So you won't you've lost your character. You might have a lot more respawns than you would think, but I think there'll be big penalties for it. So you might not even be able to go straight back out into battle. You might be wounded and take a while to rebuild that.
Well, they said that every time you go down, if you don't permanently die every time your character goes down from injuries, you're going to have some sort of debilitation on you that you're going to have to either fix at a hospital or something like that. I think that's kind of like an interesting idea there. Like, I don't know. Like, I have to agree with you. I don't know if they're going to keep this to live. Like, this is kind of real scary stuff for gameplay wise. A lot of people like that really fast, immediate Battlefield, Call of Duty kind of gameplay. That really fast.
And that's what Star Marine's for. That's what Star Marine's there for. They have put in these, and obviously Star Marines, Arena Commander, they're not really anywhere near where they should be in terms of giving us that sort of feeling of, because I do often want that sort of Battlefield experience where you just rush in, it's just fun. And that is the thing. You can log into Star Citizen, go into your hangar, you can join into a Star Marine match, have that experience, then log back out again if that's what you want. But they also have that for the training so that you are ready for the main game. Because I mean, even if they gave us 20 lives, not 9, even 30 lives, it's still going to be a serious debilitating resource. And you will know that, and you will think, I do not want to lose a life, which will just subliminally slow down everything. Combat won't be like rushing into Battlefield. And if you do want that, you've got Star Marine, you've got Call of Duty, you've got Battlefield, you've got other games to play that experience. Yeah. But you still have the experience.
Yeah, it's just like I said, I'm more looking at it from just the overall requirements of the game and the demands of what they're building versus, and then like I said, just in terms of that mechanic of punishing players for dying and the game at the moment. Obviously, we get punished all the time with bugs, and you're like, there are so many games that get released these days now with terrible amounts of bugs in them. Go to live, and I don't want that to be a thing at live release where everyone's just slandering the game and saying, "Hey, guess what? I've lost all my 9 lives in 5 minutes in 2 hours of playing the game. All my 9 lives are gone because of the fact that every time I get into my cutlass, wherever the door crushes my head or something." You know what I mean? It's like, I don't really want that, and I would. And it's just the worst thing for Star Citizen to have that type of shit going on.
And here's another thing on the life system. The life system just ends up being a fun tax for those who are bad at the game.
Type. Yeah,
like if you're bad at the game, the life system is going to drag you down even more than say someone who's an exceptional pilot or an exceptional Star Marine player. You may find yourself getting into combat a lot more than you expect and failing.
Yeah.
I do think, I think Mac was saying, I think there's a high chance that the combat that you're after, if you're after that sort of combat, will be Star Marine. Because obviously at the moment we've got it in its very one room. But if they do start implementing big planet-side battles, but still within Star Marine, like you imagine it's like a hologram in Star Trek.
Oh, they will.
That was always meant to be the point of Star Marine.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I think that's where you'll get that combat fix by going into a virtual world and doing it. And then in the real world, yes, you'll be able to kill people, but it'll be a lot more calculated and stuff.
Can I just, because I'm just going to draw this because there's a few other things that are more relevant to now as well. I was going to talk about the blade, because Mac's here and he talks about he does the ships and the other guys here is, what do you guys think about the inside of a lot of the cockpits being incredibly bright? The blade is very bright. A lot of the Vandal ships are incredibly red. It's really bright, and it's very hard sometimes to see just past the brightness of the.
It reminds me of that point in game development when textures and models looked like ass, so they covered it all up with excessive bloom. Anybody remember that brief point in the late 2010s where there's bloom is now this thing because our textures were so ugly Quake 2.
They look beautiful. The ships look beautiful.
Yeah, the ships look beautiful. It's just way too much bloom, though.
I have thought this for a while now, especially when you're traversing through the night side of the moon. It doesn't matter if it's even... Well, yeah, exactly. It's whether it be a human ship or a Vandal ship, it's always very bright. But as Miz says, they'll introduce it. If it is that bright when they introduce it, it could just be for the sake of the video.
It's like the Moby Glass, isn't it? How many times?
Sorry to mention another game, but with Elite Dangerous, you can actually adjust the brightness.
Yeah, a dimmer switch would be great. I can do that in my truck.
I'd like to have a dimmer switch now. Would be nice, please. Can I have one?
We want everything right now,
Just give me the dimmer switch, please. Would be nice to have that in. But just to confirm that they're going to do it would be good, actually. That would be fine for me.
I wouldn't, honestly, it's not a case of needing that confirmation. They will fucking do something like that. Something as simple as if we all complain and say, it's too bright, they'll be like, oh, we'll dim it then. Or we'll give you the option to dim the HUD. They will.
CIG now, please.
I'll confirm that for CIG, and if I lose...
What do you guys think of the blade? Now, for me, I'll line this up. I think 4 size 4s isn't right. I think it should have 2 size 4s and 2 size 1s or 2s as the guns. I think the gun, if you look at every Vandal ship that we've had so far, the guns are always fucking enormous, which is great.
Yeah.
So I think that the blade seems underpowered in terms of the size of the weapons. People could argue, I would be curious about the numbers.
They said something in ATV like it's not as strong, but it gives a punch, which they kind of contradicted
a punch
itself.
above its weight.
Gladius is 3 size 3s. Okay, remember. So that's 3. Yeah. That's 3 potential pyro bursts that you got. 3 pyro bursts you can stick on that bad boy. And at the moment, again, we know about balancing weapons and stuff, but I'm just saying it's 3 size 3s. It's not. If the Gladius had 3 size 2s like it originally had, and this had 4 size 2s, fine. It's a good comparison because this is a little bit more, but it's not. The Gladius now has 3 size 3s. So for me, it's like it needs to be bigger guns. It needs to be.
I wonder if that's to do with us technically going up against the Vandal, and they want us to have a slight upper hand in some sort of Squadron 42-esque scenario.
Well, in the single player campaign, the player character is supposed to be the hero, so they try to try to lift you up. You're supposed to win. So usually, like the enemies usually have high damage but low health and low shield, so you can cleave through them fairly easily. But I like the blade. The one thing I'm disappointed on the blade is like I think I've heard this. I may be misremembering this, but I believe they said they're not going to touch up the side or the glaive.
No,
they're not going to what? Sorry,
they are.
Oh, the glaive.
Yeah, the glaive and the scythe.
Never believe.
Yeah,
never until it happens.
No, I didn't put it in there, but on my Discord, I clipped. There's 2 sections where they refer to exactly. They talked. They says specifically that they are doing the blade and the driller, and then everything else between will be reworked and
Oh, really?
New ships. And he also says that we reserve the right to
change our opinion.
Change that. Which again I take to and I 100% the glaive, because again think about it, the guns at the moment, they showed us the guns which were changed. They have like special kind of like you stick those on the glaive now, or they're just going to look weird, so they have to change them. Whether they change them, like I hope they don't change them like crazy like that. I like the concept of like one wing really big, and then I hope they just kind of like remodel them and add some of that piping and that.
Yeah, they just need to update them a little bit to look nicer, look more consistent with the blade and the driller.
And the driller, exactly. And I think
do.
they will.
The only thing I would say with the blade is if you read in ATV and that they mentioned that kind of it's meant to be absorbing technology from other ships and things like that to build theirs and bolting it together, but to me they look far too sleek for that. That doesn't look like they look like they've made that with their stuff in mind rather than absorbing other things, technologies and bits of their ship.
Look completely
whereas
different.
if you look at, like, I imagine when you say something like that, absorbing other people's technology, I am thinking like orcs in Warhammer 40k, where they're just like bolted on shit from other ships to make their vessels.
You've got the wheels from a Ford KA bolted to like the chassis of a Land Rover.
That's absorbing other people's stuff. What these are proper sleek designed ships. They're not.
I think when they talk about technology, I don't think they mean literally taking the hardware off ships and put it onto theirs. I think they mean literally using the technology.
Yeah,
what do you think of all the spikes on the blade?
I love them. All the spikes are good. I'm with Moist on that one. I think it's the technology, 100%. I think they could take like the power unit or the power core, and then they wrap shit all over it, and they kind of like grow over. It's like Aliens. The way I look at it is like the way the xenomorphs reconstruct the inside of like the shit, but they just do it on the outside. You know what I mean? They kind of grow their shit over the top of it. That's the way that's why it looks really shiny and kind of has that cool styling. So I'm with Moist on this one.
Who was the artist? What was the inspired?
HR Geiger.
Geiger.
Who is what is he?
The guy who
he inspired the design of the xenomorph.
He designed the xenomorph.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, and guys, I don't know if you know. It might even be in Prague, but it might be somewhere in Germany. It's actually a restaurant designed by Geiger, and just Google the Geiger restaurant. It's amazing.
I'm doing that right now.
Do it. It's nuts.
When you ask for black pepper, the mouth just comes out and.
Yeah, they're pretty outrageous stuff, but Yeah, here's the next one was the kiosks we saw in ATV, guys. Do you think now seeing the kiosks with ships on the kiosks that we are that much closer to getting ships in game now?
A very
I
slight
think
bit,
so.
but I don't.
I hope
think
so.
we're,
I think that's why I've said before, and I still think that I do think that might be why we've gone with this change with the war bond thing, because I think it's their way to still make money when they're selling ships in game, because you'll get a sweetener deal by paying new money into the game, and I think that's what they were testing. And I think, I'm not saying it's going to be next patch or anything, but I do think that is a step in the direction for that. So,
do you think they'll give us a lot of ships? Or do you think they'll give us just a couple ships?
See, that's a difficult one, because really, once you've put that in, there should be no reason not to put all the ships in to buy it.
And
but if they don't let us, then you feel like, hang on, now you're just
sabers
being a bastard.
Would they put Super Hornets, sabers in? Those ships that currently you can't buy because of sales?
No, they won't be available to buy in game.
Why not?
Because they're
why shouldn't they be? Why are they
limited?
So why can't they, but you have to earn them at some point in the game. So why shouldn't they be in the game now?
Well,
just curious.
Steal them.
What the reasons for? You don't steal a saber though, do you?
Yeah,
right? So do you think should that be accessible to buy it once you've done a certain number of missions for a particular person to be able to gain access to the saber?
I'm wondering if when they say the limited sales, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, they said everything should be acquirable in game. Whether you have to beg, borrow, or steal it.
From like the F8 maybe, but then I guess if some of them are limited, the prices in game will be much more higher or greater than they were technically on the website, making them more exclusive.
Well, they said there's going to be an F8C. They said there's going to be a way to get an F8C.
Well, maybe they'll make them extremely expensive in game. So they got the price of everything else to make.
They're going to make them a bit unreachable at the start for people, but if you're into making lots of money in game, then you should be able to achieve them.
I mean, when it goes live rather than the beta, I think, or alpha, whatever, I think it'll be you'll obviously be able to earn them in game, but I think you might have to buy them from certain stations, or you might have to provide a station with resources to get that ship built. It won't be like instant access.
Yeah, it may be like prerequisites to accomplish before you can actually have the option of buying it. Like, you want this specific item, you need to go and run these missions for it. Like one fucking tramp that could be living on a squalor somewhere is like, I own this ship, but it's the only one in the universe. Very unlikely. You gotta get me some Radagast, and then you can have it. 4 bottles of Radagast.
The best ship in the game. But
I'll just take
your
ship.
Nice hat. I'll take that ship from you now.
Yeah.
I personally think they'll drop a couple. I think they should drop in the Prospector as quickly as possible for mining. Every ship that dropped in should have a real purpose for enabling us to test every patch to the fullest that they drop. So Prospectors should be in. They should be land-based vehicles if they want to check new things for Gravles. They should be able to buy it in-game. If you want to do a combat, they should be the Gladius, for example. You should be able to buy that as a minimum. And what else? The Cutlass, like I say, or a cargo, or like a Cutlass, a Freelancer. Some mid-tier range ships. And if they wanted to do a really fun thing, they could drop a big-ass motherfucker as a big ship.
No, Idris is going to be on like Squadron. Squadron's going to be the first time you see an Idris.
Yeah, no, but I would be like Reclaimer if they've got salvage in game.
I think once it's flyable, I can't see. I think they'd have to argue why they wouldn't put it on the list to buy.
It already is flyable.
Not to. No, that's what I'm saying. Anything that's flyable now, if they started selling ships in game, they would have to have a weird reason why they wouldn't be on the kiosk for you to earn. Really?
Yeah.
Like, what would be the reason?
Test.
We want to sell more of them.
Like technically they'll probably most say, they're just building the assets on the UI to get them in game. That sort of thing. Like, they haven't got the description or whatever. But they should, like, if they are flyable, they should, and they're putting them into the game, they should have them to buy and they should have them to rent. And I think renting is the most important part of it. I don't even think you should have to buy ships. I think if you have the option to rent them for a certain amount.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to buy, if one of my friends doing some mining and I'm like, well, I don't want to own a Prospect or a fucking Orion. I just want to do it for a couple of hours. I don't want to have to try and work my way up to earning however much, 100,000 UEC to buy a ship. I want to just rent it for a couple of hours, return it, and then, that's the rental done. So I think and they did say that renting will be a thing. It's just, I think that should come with the selling. They should come with the whole kiosk of buying a ship should have buy, rent, test drive.
Interesting.
I don't know. Yeah. Fuck it. Test drive it in Arena Commander. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna. I think we're getting towards the end of the show really now. I think we've been going for. I think we should probably time. We were going to do a shortish stream, but it's turned into as always a long.
Why didn't you expect 5 people?
When you get 5 people, it tends to stretch out things a little bit.
I need to pee so bad, but obviously I can't really leave my laptop here, so it's like.
You take it with you. We love it come with you.
Okay. No, seriously, don't.
You got a bottle? You got a bottle underneath that chair?
Okay, so we'll
Is
wrap
that
it
guy
up.
dressed as a woman still there? You can ask him to look after it for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, what?
So.
So,
Where can we
yes,
find
that
everybody?
guy with the dress is still.
Where can we find everyone before?
You can find me in a few minutes on my channel streaming Metro 2033 and drinking vodka.
Vodka.
Vodka, because Sika Blatt. It's a Russian game, so you might as well drink vodka.
What time is it where you
It is 3:56 p.m. right now.
Perfect. It made no difference to what the answer was going to be. It's still going to be a perfect answer.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere in the
perfect
world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mac, what are you up to?
Mac, what are you up to?
Roll
Where
it
can we
up.
find you?
I am streaming tomorrow, Star Citizen, and then throughout the week we'll either do some Kona, not Conan, before you all get carried away with fucking big slongs and whatnot.
Is that Weeboo game where you're taking the girls' dresses off or something?
No. Tell me more.
Later. We'll tell you more.
We'll talk
after
about
the
it later.
stream.
Later.
Later.
Next.
And also Escape from Tarkov. I'm going to try and break up the week with those games because I can't play Star Citizen. I'm going back to doing the sitting in front of a video of Star Citizen and talking and just catching up on the news and stuff, which I know a lot of people love to see, don't they?
Madness.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you, to be honest. People have
blame you
seen
either.
cargo moving backwards and forwards now for a few months. I think they're
Yeah, well,
waiting for something else.
that's it. It's like if I don't want to play it, I'll find a way of talking about it at least.
Yeah.
A noodle.
And he's muted.
Your mic's
Oh,
muted.
He's muted himself. That's good.
I'm hoping that eventually I might get back to the United Kingdom. That would be.
I'm hoping you do too.
Sometime tomorrow afternoon.
If not, you know what? I'll just boosted board my way there. I'll find a way. I'll put little paddles on the wheels, rotation device on the bottom. It'll be fine. But I'm probably not going to be able to stream that much this week because my dad is in hospital and quite unwell at the moment, and the visiting hours are pretty much when I stream. But I'm going to try and get some streams in. But in the meantime, just make sure that you're following me on Twitter at the Moist Noodle. I'll get updates out on there when I'll be streaming. Yeah, fingers crossed. I want to go home.
That lady was giving you proper looks.
I want to go home. Just shout it. Yeah, but I want to go home. They won't let me. Madness.
I'll be doing some gaming on my own, enjoying some free time away from streaming for the time being, looking after my kid. And I'll be doing YouTube videos as much as trying to do YouTube videos in a more as interesting as I can make that for myself because it's quite hard. I was really difficult with it. It's not easy. It's really hard. And then if I do get any opportunities to stream, of course I'll stream, but I'll just be doing other things, I think, and working on the Asylum and working with Miz and just trying to come up with some kind of goals and chatting with some of these guys here, because these guys here now are a big part of what we do. So seeing if they've got any ideas, suggestions, and yourselves as well. If you guys have got any ideas, feel free to join Miz's Discord or my Discord and just throw ideas at us if you want to be part of what we do. Come and chat to us as well. I'm sure we can, have a chat and stuff. We don't have any free ships, I'm afraid, to give you though.
Hey, if you made some YouTube videos, if you made some of those YouTube videos, the tutorial for Arena Commander, you could have a free ship to give away.
You could have something. You could have something. But yes, that's my focus really now for the next couple of months. I think I'm going to be working on bigger plans for what we do on the Asylum. And gaming as well, obviously.
And for myself, carrying on doing the Paint Palette and Roll Wednesday nights, if I can stay awake long enough, and doing D&D on Friday. So any of you interested in Dungeons and Dragons, which is a little bit different from Star Citizen, but still good fun, come and join us on Fridays. I hope we're going to be doing one this Friday, but I'm not 100% sure. And then I'm going away on holiday, so we'll see. But yeah, working with Madness and everyone else doing some Asylum stuff, getting things done.
Do some good stuff. Try and do some stuff we promised to do, which is now like halfway through the year we haven't done it.
Babies and things, and people,
babies and
women going in hospital for long times, which is not expected. Decided to mess our beginning of the year up, so thank you, Joe.
Yeah. We've done pretty well though. I mean, big thank you to our patrons, big thank you to subs, the people who sub us, who watch us. You guys are the reason we ultimately do all this, really. And keep working hard at it, and get these crazy fools to come and join us. Is because of you lot. We really enjoy doing it. So, keep coming, and we'll keep doing the content, basically.
And so yeah, thanks to everybody who's into that. Thanks to everybody that's chucking bits at me today. I very much appreciate that. It'll go back into paying for Zoom and everything else, so that's all good.
Bits for bits. You got to show us your bits.
Show us the bits.
Yeah, so make sure you give everybody on the team a follow, everybody that's here today, all the guests and everything. If you're not following already, go and give them a follow. And also, if you missed the beginning of the podcast, the end of the podcast, or any of the others, or any of the D&D shows that we've been doing, they're all on the Asylum YouTube channel, so you should be able to follow the links there and go and have a look at there. Go and give them a thumbs up, or give us any feedback on there as well. Always appreciated. Otherwise, we're going to go and host somebody. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
I've got to go.
Okay, go.
Okay,
go. Let's host.
I'm going to host Spectre Dust. I was already planning to. It's first timer.
And I'm going to head out too.
First time Star Citizen. Yeah, thanks, HC. Thanks, Moist.
Everybody go and show them the Asylum love
Have a good night.
Dust. Thanks, everybody, and the cast for joining us.
Guys.
I've just got that awkward wait while it counts.
Yes.
But yes, thanks all. 3 bits. How
Thank
to
you,
set
everyone.
it up.
That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed. It was good.
And we're going. Oh, look, the camera's all messed up. I'm now Moist Noodle. Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Thanks very much. Take care. Good night.